And we're live. All right, people, welcome. I'm Rusty, and it is 9:40 p.m. on June 12th, 2020. And happy Friday, everybody out there. Once again, my favorite day of the week. So, um, I hope you can see more than my lips moving tonight. I'm hoping for the best. If I can't, somebody jump on the tube chat and type me a frantic message and let me know I'm not making any noise or if I'm making too much. Anyway, welcome to the show. The links are posted in all the usual places, which means if you are a member of Stunt Hangar Control Line forums and you're logged in as a member, then you're able to access the At the Bench thread, which is on the main forum page under the open forum. Scroll down a couple of subsections lower, and you'll find the At the Bench thread, and the first post in it will be the one with the link to this show, and you can join it with your camera and microphone. You can tell that post is the right one because today's date will be in the title. And if you prefer, you can go to the Stunt Hangar YouTube channel and use the text chat box in either in anonymity, or you can type into the you can type your messages to us there. You also have the opportunity, if you're over there on the tube side, to drop us a donation using the super chat icon. It's a block $sign at the bottom of the chat box. Hey, Bob, glad to see you. You're, as usual, my first visitor. Tell me if I sound okay. And you can use that to drop us some walking around money and server fees for Sparky and all the change it takes to keep him in equipment and paid up so that we can keep the show free and on the air, and that he can broadcast from all the events, which looks like the Nats are going to be the first one. The Nats are on for July, so that'll be our first event, I suppose. And Sparky, I'm sure, will be there broadcasting live. And so if you'll drop us a little ching, that would be cool. And hopefully I'll get a little bit from my hobby budget too, which is always my favorite part. Um, and hey, Jack Snavely, everybody think I sound okay. Bob Bishop reports AV is great. Excellent. We got it fixed. I'm only doing it on one computer tonight, not having to use two of them just to get one job done. So I hope that hangs in there all night. And we have a few things to talk about. I've noticed lately. Oh, good, Tom. Hey, I hope you're going to sign in live with us. Um, but anyway, we've got to be more careful about our language and the way we behave on here, and try to watch dropping F bombs and, words like that. Even an S bomb in the first 30 seconds or so of the show will draw an infraction. So, uh, oh man, Jack, thanks for the donation. We appreciate it. Number one fan. Okay, that is cool. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Um, but anyway, yeah, if y'all could please, and I'll go through this during the show, but if y'all could please just try to be careful, and let's not even mention any social or medical things that might be going around in your area or any other parts of the world. I think that it would be best to stay under the wire of YouTube infractions, and let's see if we can get through a whole show without having any demonetization going on. And like I said, I'll mention it during the show because I want everybody that comes in live to hear it. And I'm not 100% sure where all of these infractions lie, because I don't have 9 hours to go through shows and listen to every word and see if I can figure it out. So anyway, it's on all of us, and so we'll try to be better. And I'll punch a bigger hole in the top of the cuss jar, and hopefully we won't have to put Jack's contribution in the cuss jar. But anyway, let's see. We got Bob, we got Jack, and we got Tom out there on the tube. That's about it for right now. And I hope somebody will come join us live. Like I said, the links are posted in the usual place. Come click in and hang out with us, and we'll be here till about midnight. Depends on how good the conversation is and how long the diehards can last. If they start face planting around midnight, well, we'll shut down and move on to the weekend. But if y'all want to hang out late, we can do that too. So I'm just glad to have you with us, and glad to only manage to do the show with just one computer for a change. So let's see. I got my coffee, snacks, cigarettes, got everything I need to last for a few hours right here. And so it's on y'all. Give us a show. Let's have a show. What you got? How about you, Tom? Are you gonna join us on camera? How about Jack? Have you ever been in on camera? I think Bob Bishop has. I can't quite remember. We've had a pretty good supply of new members lately. So they come and they go. We've had Rob Whitley, I think, and he brings a lot of knowledge because he's a pilot and also I think he's an FAA investigator. We got Tom, who's uh, our top engineer. Here comes Peter.
Hey.
I think that's. Oh, hey. Oh, yeah. Hey, Peter and Tom Randall both popped in at the same time. You tried to confuse me. How's it going tonight, Peter?
What's that?
How's it going tonight?
Oh, very good. Got a package, and the package is
Tiger Power. So, a Super Tiger. What
and it's
size is it?
Italian. I mean, it's the Italian model, but you can't get newer in the box than this. I mean, nothing has even been opened in it.
Did that come from Super Tiger or did that come from Randy?
This came from eBay.
Okay.
I mean, I couldn't believe it. It was never mounted. It looks like it's been sitting in the box from what, a hobby shop in California.
Have
But
you
this,
got plans
this is
for?
going in the Sig Magnum.
Oh, the Magnum. So tell me what size it is.
It's the G51.
Okay. I guess that's about right for a Magnum because that Magnum's like a 66-inch
Yeah, it's almost
wingspan.
like, I think it's like 700 squares.
Yeah. I had a 46 FX on mine, ball bearing OS engine, and I was surprised that the 46 FX was big enough to haul that Magnum because mine weighed 72 ounces, which is way overweight. That's a nice piece of work. Did it
And
come with different Venturis to try?
no, it did not. But I'm
Did
going to
it come
send it
with?
off to Randy anyway because believe he's got an ABC kit for it.
Uh, did it come with any Venturis
This is
or
an
a
RC
carburetor?
model.
Oh, got a carburetor.
Yeah, right there.
Oh well,
That's why I'm sending it off to Randy.
you can use that carburetor for a model boat anchor. What's going on with you, Tom? What you been up to all week?
I've been trying to clean up from the tree branches and stuff from the trees I cut down.
Oh, yeah, I remember you were on a tree cutting expedition last time we talked.
Yeah, it
So I hope
sounds
you
like the echo is fixed.
no echo tonight.
No.
Excellent. No tablet either. I'm on one computer. I've got my problems all taken care of. It looks like at this short juncture, as they like to say on the TV news. And so, yeah, I hope so. I got really tired of screwing with this thing. I was just about to take a rock maple stick and just beat the life out of it.
Sounds like it's
But,
all fixed now.
oh, John, I love your shirt. How you doing? Hey, Charles.
Hey, what's up?
Not much, just chilling, trying to get a groove going on Friday night. How about you?
Oh, I'm just so happy to be here because look forward to Friday nights, Look forward to hanging
Yeah.
out with you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mondays can be hard. Fridays are less stressful. You kind of everybody's chilled out and kick back and going with the flow.
Yeah, you have a weekend. There's nothing, unless you have things to do around the house, there's nothing pressing going on.
Yeah. Well, the thing about the weekend, if you got things to do around the house, there's always Sunday. You don't have to worry about them tomorrow morning. No alarms, as my wife loves to say on Friday night. No alarms.
That's right.
Hey, John,
Yeah,
I noticed I was looking through Stunt Hangar. Did you ever build that Spirit of Saginaw?
I haven't built it. I've got to get my shop. I've got the kit sitting here. It's ready to go. It's a nicely designed airplane. Dick Bassini did a good job on that.
Yep, I'm thinking of getting one myself. I've got a OS Max 35. I'm thinking of sticking.
What is a Spirit of Saginaw?
It's a 70s, what do they call it, nostalgia profile designed by Dick Bassini. And it's actually the Spirit of Saginaw 3.
Is it a big plane?
Well, it's 35, 40 sized airplane, yeah.
Oh, that's right in my wheelhouse.
Yeah, I think it was 550 squares if I remember correctly.
Yeah,
Something
that's
like
about my
that.
size.
Oh, geez, we've got Mike duplicated about 1 billion times. Oh, he's got. They stole 3 of them there. 4.
Jack Snaffley out on YouTube says he's been building a free flight plane called a sniffer. It's a simple job for his Pee Wee 020. Oh, that's a little old plane. Went flying and broke his .008 lines. Wait a minute. That's not, you don't fly a free flight. You must be talking about 2 different flights and planes if you broke your zero 008 lines. Free flight means no lines, right?
Well,
Usually.
if you break the lines, it begins to be a free flight.
Well, yeah, that's true. Maybe it turned into a free flight partway through the
Very
control
good,
line
John.
flight.
Or it rips the handle out of your hand.
Yeah. Actually, I have had one go free flight on me.
Yep.
My kitty cat plane, when I was trying to hand off to the little girl next door, we kind of miscommunicated. And I said, "You got it?" And she said, "Yep." And I let go, and that plane took off and headed over the house. And the only thing that saved, I thought it was gone forever, but the only thing that saved it was the handle got about 40 feet up in the air and caught on a limb in the oak tree, and it went down right in front of the front steps. Didn't bust anything but the propeller.
Geez, when it happened to me, I was flying this Ringmaster Imperial, and I was coming down from an overhead, and I ended up going into the wind, so the lines got real slack. I'm talking about years ago.
That's
And
never good.
when the lines, when it got to the bottom of its arc, it pulled tight, and boom, the handle's gone. And this thing just, it had a long flight until the lines wrapped around a street light or a lamppost that was in the park. It just kind of like did one of these and bam.
Wow.
I'm glad you didn't knock the power out in the whole town.
So you didn't have a safety thong on, Peter?
Huh?
You didn't have a safety thong on?
No, this was back.
Of course
Jesus,
not.
this was back in like 1969, 1970.
I didn't even know what safety thongs were until I graduated to the big planes when I was in my late 50s and started having to follow actual AMA rules. I didn't know there was an AMA until then either. But
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I guess I've been lucky all that time because I just fingertip flew the half A's, and it's amazing I hadn't had any more of them get away from me.
Well, as a kid, I flew without safety thongs also. I didn't know about that stuff till I got into the AMA as well in Pampa. And just hanging around the guys that I fly with, they were doing that already. And they told me you needed to have safety flying to fly here. So
Yeah.
No, it was the standard Hot Rocks red small Hot Rocks handle. Who the heck knew back in 1969? There was no Pampa in 1969.
There was, oh, really? There wasn't? When did Pampa start?
72 or
Sometime in the
73.
70s.
Oh, did one of our current uh, comrades start it up, or who originated Pampa?
I really don't remember. I remember that actually, to be quite honest with you, it was the day that that I was flying that Ringmaster Imperial, and I was doing all sorts. No, that wasn't the time. We lost it, but it was the same airplane. And I remember flying it in Flushing Meadow Park, and I was just finally landed the thing, and it was all black and monocoat. It weighed a ton. And I just got finished putting it through the pattern. I remember two guys coming up to me and saying, "Would you like to join our new organization? It's called Pampa." And was it 1973, 72, somewhere around there.
I guess you could look at their magazine list because they're all archived now, and you can go back to the first one and see when it was written and published. Say, Bob Bishop said he saw a voodoo climb up into the low overcast with a near full tank. Got it so high it was getting hard to hear, and must have gone over a half a mile. I bet it did, because a voodoo will haul ass. That's like the Super Satan, speed wise. It's just that's like a Super Satan.
I posted a video that I had somebody had sent me to convert years ago. It's on the open forum. It was footage from the 2004 World Nationals, World Championships, and at the end of that footage, there's this girl that was flying combat. She was awesome. She was kicking the ass out of all these guys. I don't know who she was and what she was doing, but if you watch that video, those things scream. Holy mackerel, I could not believe I couldn't keep track of the airplanes.
Oh, I just remembered something. Now that we've got our main eight or 10, including the YouTubers, people in here, I want to tell y'all that we've been getting a few dings on YouTube for monetization. Not really infractions, but we need to watch out with dropping F-bombs and S-bombs, and generally staying completely away from saying anything about our current situation that everybody knows about in the world right now.
Yeah, we have
YouTube doesn't want to hear about that stuff, and some advertisers don't want to advertise on shows that do mention it. It seems to be most strict. It's complicated. I haven't been able to read it all. It's most strict in the first introductory part of the show. Deeper into the show, it doesn't matter as much, but let's just try to get back to being wary of that. We did really good when we first started this, back when it was the COPPA laws, and now we've got to just reiterate that we need to police our speech, okay? And I know some things are really tempting to talk about, but I'm sorry. I hate to have to go into that, but just wanted to do a reminder, and y'all are the core group pretty much, so I just wanted to make sure everybody will hear me say that, and when Steve comes in, I'll make sure he hears it, because he probably could use a refresher too. What's going on, Lenny? What are you doing? Framing up an imaginary camera there? Yeah, looks like he's got a little delay stutter going on. Can you hear us, Len?
He's stop motion. He's an animated figure.
Speaking in sign language. Has everybody got their cameras turned off?
No?
No.
No.
No,
Nope.
I don't believe so.
Okay.
Oops.
Okay, they're popping back on one at a time. Hey, Trey, and how you doing tonight?
Good, good. I'm here with you guys. I'm working on a horizontal stabilizer.
He's always working on something.
So might as well just
Absolutely.
use the
Hey, we've been
time.
getting
Yeah.
a lot of visitors from workshops lately. I like that. Sometimes it makes it hard to hear when they're sawing and sanding, but I still like to see y'all in your workshops.
It's
I've
a modular
actually
plan
been in
show,
my
right?
workshop. Yeah, I've actually been in my workshop and had some productive time sanding and doping on the Hyper Viper. I've talked about it before a lot, but I finally actually gotten both hands on it for a decent period of time, and it looks like I'll have paper on it by this weekend. It takes longer than I thought to dope and sand and dope and sand and dope and sand.
Oh, I hate sanding.
I think if you
despise
just
sanding.
That's good news.
if you're just learning how to fly, it's not worth it. Just monocle it and just fly.
Oh, I agree 100%. But this is something I've never done before, and I just want to learn to do something I've never done before, which, I've always said that's true on every build I do. I want to do something I've never done before.
Oh, that's cool.
Sometimes I end up getting in deeper than I ought to, but yeah, I'd like to know how the old guys did it.
I used to do that too, so I'm kind of glad I don't have to do it too much anymore.
Yeah,
Actually,
nobody has to anymore. So
I remember the number of times I've tried to do dope in tissue or dope in silk strand. My finishes, my planes looked like they were like covered in the craters of the moon. I mean, you can never get it tight. I can never. Oh, it does great work.
look like kindergarten projects.
Yeah, paper mache for crying out loud.
Finger painting.
but Sparky is doing a good job on putting
Yeah.
the videos and explaining what he's doing over there. So I think if you just copy and paste, you should be pretty close, I guess.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I need to go over there for a little refresher because he's got some specifically titled "How to Silk Span a Wing" and that kind of thing.
So what I'm making here, I'm just doing a horizontal for the vector I'm building right now, and the idea is that I want to make a much lighter horizontal than the original plan is, and I'm going to also reinforce it with some unidirectional carbon. But for now, it's pretty much building as normal with pins. I just use pins to hold the sticks in place, and I'm just going to build the frame, and then I'm going to put the reinforcement on it. So that's my project for tonight, as I'm chit-chatting and having a good time here with you guys. So that's that.
Bill, I saw your Stuntman 23 video
Yeah.
posted today.
So here it is.
Oh, I see it. Yeah.
Oh, Lynn said he couldn't hear, so he had to drop out. Oh, I saw a Stuntman 23, and I think that was Bill. Let me find Bill. Hey, you know what? I can do the follow me again now. I can make him big by clicking on him.
Yeah. Nice.
Except his camera's turned off. Oh.
Yeah, make him small. Make him small.
So
I
I'll give
can't
you
see Bill. Everybody's picture keeps turning off.
Yeah, hold it up a little bit.
There you go.
Oh, thank you.
It's
Oh, it's electric. I didn't realize that.
So here's what happened.
Oh, now I
If you
can
see the video.
Yeah, very nice.
Oh, that's the box art too. Were those all decals, or did you paint that on?
Those are decals, and they're like individual letters, and I didn't get them on completely straight, but it's good enough.
Yeah, it's plenty good enough.
And I just
And I can't see
Why
for
did
sure. What is
going up
that?
and down? Kind of goes with that.
Is that a baby on there? What kind of engine?
it's electric.
It's
Oh,
electric.
it's so blurry I can't tell. Okay.
That's not okay.
So this is the
I couldn't see
Broadek,
it.
That explains.
half A system,
Yeah.
and it seemed to pull it
Oh,
pretty
okay.
well.
That's a nice flying plane. I enjoyed my Stuntman 23.
Well, I remember building when I was about 8 or 9 years old, and I had a McCoy 049 on it, and I don't know if I ever flew it, but I do remember building it. So anyhow, what happened
That plane
today?
is
Go ahead.
no, you go ahead. I was just making noise.
Oh, so what happened? The first time I tried using the Stooge, and the Stooge has that big foam on the arms, and when it came down, the tail caught on that foam, and it wouldn't go.
Oh.
So I decided that, well, I could run fast enough to get there in 7 seconds, and so
Maybe.
well, I did. So the next time I get there and get the handle and take off, and I don't know, somehow I didn't have one of the clips clipped, and it came loose, and it gave it full up, and it went up into a loop and came down on the blacktop.
Oh,
But it didn't hurt it.
Ah.
So then I got it clipped up and tried it again, and it flew it for 3 minutes, and I got I think it was a little tail heavy, and it was really twitchy like, but it pulled it really pretty good, and I got the battery up farther forward now, and I think it'll do all right.
It looked like an
Yeah, I
exciting
hope
flight.
so. Yeah, those are fun planes to fly. And they really will stunt. I mean, it'll do loops and just as easy as pie with given enough power. I'm going to drop my camera resolution down because most everybody's just black screen for me right now. I can't get that setting to pop up.
Don't hear any echo tonight.
That's right.
No,
Just
you
give
got
it
that.
I'm only using one computer tonight too. A near miracle. I had to drop Chrome and download the newest version of Firefox. So I'm running Firefox tonight.
Yeah, that's what I'm running.
I couldn't believe it when I finally said, okay, I'll give it up and try. And I downloaded Firefox and just set it to record instead of stream. And the recording sounded perfect. And so when I set stream up tonight, it went fine. It still acts like I'm low on system resources, though. I want to drop my camera resolution, but I can't get the settings to pop up with the 3 dots.
Everybody's picture's pretty sharp tonight.
I have the opposite problem. Okay, manage video quality. Let's see what happens when I do that. Oh well, I'll just have to settle for what I got. Yeah, something in my I got too many things going on in the background. Maybe I need to investigate my operating system. Either that or load some kind of a Linux system in a new partition and just use it for video conference, and maybe that would, and boot to it. Maybe that would help the situation. There we go. Now I got video quality done, and see if that helps me. Hey, it actually looks like it got better when I dropped it.
Mm.
Oh, I got a message that says Tom Rammel would like to speak.
Well,
Your microphone says it's muted.
No, I don't know why it said that. I was muted because I'm sanding, sanding on my little airplane.
I guess it thought all that sanding noise was you trying to speak, so it figured it would do you a favor.
No, I had it muted so that you wouldn't have to hear the sanding.
Yeah, I get that. I was just thinking maybe it's AI thinking for itself, erroneously assuming you needed to talk.
I'll mute again and start
Now
sanding.
everybody. Now I can see everybody. Maybe it'll stay that way for a while.
Dream on.
Yeah.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
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 All right.
Yeah.
Every time I turn my
Mhm.
every time I turn my camera on, I get booted out.
No,
Anybody had that problem before?
No, but
No.
you're
Yeah.
showing
special.
you're just showing a gray box there, a gray circle there for your quality signal. I think you've got a problem. Connection lost.
Well, no, that's not it. I've gotten on like 15 times.
It looks to me like everybody's
I
hanging
can
by a
watch and
thread,
I can talk
video
now.
wise tonight. Audio is fine.
Every
There
time I
doesn't even seem to really be a delay.
every time I turn my camera on, every time I turn my camera on,
It's very
it kicks
pleasant
me
not
off
to have a
and
delay.
says I get the odds.
I saw your image once, Mike, and then it disappeared, and then that was been it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No movement either. Just I'm still.
Yeah, I'm getting the snap message every time I turn my camera on. It lasts for a second and then I get booted out. I've cleared my cache and
We got
I've done
one
everything it said to do.
fellow
I'm running on the
jitster
most
that I
current.
can't. Oh, that's Gary Sinclair. Wonder why it said fellow jitster. Oh, there it is. Yeah, we do have one fellow jitster
Yeah.
who doesn't have his name. It looks like we got two of them. They keep moving around
Yeah.
like playing whack-a-mole. Every time I look at one, it jumps somewhere else.
I mean, I know. There's Mike's picture again, but we can't hear him.
It doesn't do Zoom rooms or something.
Hey, Rusty,
Yeah.
did you hear Mike Longby talking or not? Because he was talking, he tried to say something like 3 times, but he was talking over him. I was wondering, can you not hear Mike?
I never heard Mike.
Okay.
Was I talking over him?
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, well, crap. I'm sorry. Sorry, Mike, if you're listening.
Mike's frozen again.
I was talking about how great the sound was while I was
Yeah.
washing somebody.
There we go. That's really funny.
I'll text him.
Some relative of mine, he just got fiber to his house. I wonder if we all had that, if it would be just perfect all the time.
Yeah.
Wow.
I got
I
fiber.
remember hearing some people.
I got fiber to the pole and coax to the house.
Oh.
Mm.
Okay.
Yeah, we have fiber to the house here.
Oh, okay.
You ever know anybody who had like what they call a T1 connection?
Yeah,
Yeah.
back.
Yeah.
It's been a long time
Years
ago.
ago.
Yeah, that
Back
was a
when I
long time ago.
Yeah, it was back when
I
I
wonder
was
how
in the
fast that
corporate.
was.
1.5.
Back in the
With fiber, we're dealing with 500 or 1 gig.
Oh, okay.
yeah, this was back like in 2000 when my company had what we called a T1 line.
Mm-hmm.
Now I
Remember
got
when
the
you had a,
echo back.
That's 54 megabit.
remember when you had a 14.4
Are
megahertz
you sure? Because Peter, my
Wi-Fi?
laptop did. I'm sorry. Go ahead, John.
I just remember when you had to put a thing in your computer. I think it was 14.4 to get on the
Modem.
internet. You remember that?
Yeah, modem. I remember the ones where you had to put the phone receiver and you plug the phone receiver into the rubber cups.
Oh, gee.
Yeah, but my modem back then did like 54K.
Well, I'm going back to what, 93 or 4.
Yeah, that 14. Yeah, it was 14.4. That was, you had your modem, you had 9600, then you went to 14.4, and then you went to 32K, then 56K, and so on and so on and so forth. I don't happen to have a dial-up modem anymore.
Hey, is the old CompuServe forum still going?
Oh gosh, I don't know. That's probably morphed into something completely different now.
Yeah, it was the only thing going back in the early 90s.
Yeah, that's who developed GIFs and JPEGs, probably, I think.
Yeah,
Compression routines. Or GIFs aren't compressed, are they? No, I'm thinking of bitmaps. GIFs
yeah.
are compressed.
Yeah.
Well, I had an old
A
article.
bitmap is as raw.
I had an
A
old
bitmap's
article.
as raw as you can get, I think.
I had an old article on the old CompuServe. I'd love to be able to get a copy of that, but I don't know if it's still going.
Okay, you just jogged the memory. CompuServe was bought out or morphed into Computer Associates, and I don't even know if Computer Associates is around anymore.
Yeah. Oh well.
I don't even remember them.
Well, you typed. You had no. If I remember correctly, you had no pictures there. It was just typing on the kind of a black screen or a blank.
Oh yeah,
Oh yeah, like bulletin board.
Basically, it was text messaging, text chats.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's bulletin board system, BBS.
Yep. Exactly. Which of course still survives today in the form of Stunthangar to a certain degree.
Peter, I ran across an email you sent me back when you're building and having trouble with the Pathfinder LE. I had forgotten all about that. That was.
It's still up there. You see, it's still back there.
Yeah.
In bones yet.
It's too bad you had to.
Someday I'm going to get the incentive to turn around and fix the hangar rash that it has.
Yeah. It's a good airplane.
But, I don't know. I suppose every model gets to the point where you start working on a project and you're looking at it for so long that it's like, I don't want to look at this anymore for a while.
I understand. I've been there.
Now Mike has video.
Yeah, hi, Mike.
There you go.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, I had to switch.
Well, yeah, now we
I had
can.
to switch back to my
I can't
iPhone.
see you, but I can hear you.
I don't know what's going on with my daughter's Chromebook, but it's all jacked up. Can't do anything. So
I can see Mike.
yeah,
No, that's because
Now
she
I
doesn't
can.
want you to use their Chromebook.
yeah, I'm on my iPhone now. Like I said, I think my daughter's Chromebook is just loaded up with too much shit, too much stuff. Sorry, and it won't run. I did catch your intro on YouTube, Rusty. So sorry about that.
Too much stuff.
Stop.
It's stuff.
Too much
Okay.
stuff.
Yeah, no problem.
We'll have to catch
So Rusty, you can't see Mike?
I'm glad I noticed it and said something about it before Sparky got in and fussed at me about it, because he hadn't mentioned it to me in a few weeks. So
We'll just have to catch Steve when he first gets here.
that's what. Yeah, I think he might need a refresher. I'm a notorious cusser too. I mean, it's just part of my natural language, and so it's hard for me to hold it back because it's so much more embellishing when you can let a few choice words fly, and it's colorful.
Well, colorful cussing is an art form that very few people know and understand and are able to do. Now you hear people talking, you hear a lot of F-bombs, and it's effing bomb this and effing bomb that, and that's not good cussing. That's poor cussing.
No, that's not it. No.
Yeah, that's a lack of proper thought into what you're saying. Any of you guys ever get to see the movie? Oh shucks.
Samuel L. Jackson movie.
No, it was an old one. The guys were miners, and these two guys come into the town, and he takes off on a rant, and he goes into a cussing rant that's about 4.5 minutes long. And when he gets done, I mean, he does it so well. And when he gets done, everybody's standing around there just going, and they reach behind and they pull out a trophy and they hand it to him.
No, I don't have any recollection of that one.
What about Andrew Dice Clay? You guys remember him?
Oh,
he was nasty. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, Steve's here now. You better give your little speech.
Hi, Steve.
Oh, okay. Hey, good evening, Steve.
Right.
We
guys gotta watch Tropic Thunder. Do you have what's his name? Geez, guy who played in Top Gun. Tom Cruise plays this guy Len Grossman in Tropic Thunder. It's a comedy.
Cruise, yeah.
It goes off on a rant. It's absolutely marvelous.
So what's up?
Yeah, hey, Steve, what fixing to say is we've got to crack back down and tighten up on our language in here, okay? Like F-bombs and even S-bombs. Let's try to keep them to a minimum, and absolutely, this is YouTube guidelines because we're getting notifications about this. Let's just omit any mention of political or public health issues that are going on right now, and I know it's a pain, but we're losing money because of it. So we can do that. We did it really well for a good while, and we've kind of loosened up lately. So it's just a reminder to tighten back up on our swear jar.
So what? If you mention political stuff or anything when it comes to health, YouTube frowns on that.
Can you? I didn't understand what you said. Can you do what?
YouTube doesn't like anything about health or politics.
this particular health thing that everybody is affected by right now, we need to stay away from any commentary or even mention on that. And I was trying to read their guidelines, but they are so long and detailed that I hadn't had time to really digest it yet. But we keep losing monetization on a couple of videos from a couple of advertisers, and so I just wanted to make sure that y'all knew that, yeah, we need to kind of stay away from commentary on
I was
stuff
going to
like
say
that.
is that every time I get on a YouTube deal, there's a political campaign from somebody and stuff to do with buying masks and this and that. And it's like, well, if YouTube doesn't want anything about COVID or a politician, they should take off their
Yeah,
own commercials.
well, that's what they're doing. I mean, I don't know, but what they're doing, is demonetizing certain advertisers or pulling their monetization when they hear us mention stuff like that. I can't help it. I'm just letting y'all know that let's watch that. We can do that. We can talk about airplanes all
Yeah,
night.
here's an idea. Rusty told us what to do, so let's stop talking about it and talk about some flipping model airplanes.
Thank you, Mike.
Yay! If we only talked about model airplanes, this thing will last about 10 minutes a night.
Oh.
Well, I wish I could share stuff. I'd dig out a PDF of the Spirit of Saginaw so you guys can see it, since Peter asked about it. But I'll see what I can do either next Monday or next Friday, have it ready, and we'll see. If I can't do it, I'll send it to Mike or somebody and have them do it. It's a nice looking airplane. Frankly, I think you guys would like it if you built one. Dick Passini, the designer, did I thought a really good job on it. It has at the wing roots, it has simulated air intakes, for a jet, and that stiffens up that wing and fuselage joint. And there's some. There was some. He said just about every time he took it to a contest, he came home with trophies. So,
well, isn't that the one that Brodek's selling now?
Yes.
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah.
And I've got a kit here, but while I'm trying to get my shop set up, I haven't built anything. That's on the list, the short list of things to get built.
I just had to say that my power's been out for 3 days and it just came on.
Really?
So God is either punishing you or blessing you by letting me come on. So you have to decide what kind of life you've been living.
You said it was a trike,
Hey,
right?
I saw Samantha is nationally seeded at the Nats. She's down there at the bottom, but she's there with the top 25 top seeds. Did you know that?
No, I didn't know that.
Yep. Look on the forum there. Howard Rush put up the seeding for the Nats, and she's there. She's down there at the bottom, but she's there. Not bad for a girl.
Right.
For a girl. Uh-oh.
Yeah, she had to be a lot of guys to make it up that high.
Yeah.
So, Mike, I watched your video today. Now, you said that was speed limit combat?
Yeah. Yeah. So combat, those are planes that they can't go more than 75.
Is she flying as an adult now?
Speed limit, 75.
You're talking over Mike.
The reason for,
Is Samantha an adult now, or is she still flying as a...
You're talking over Mike. Rusty? Try it again, Mike.
Okay, Bill. Speed limit combat is an event where the planes cannot fly faster than 75 miles an hour. because anything faster than 75 has to have a shutoff on it. So that's why that event was created, and that's what we're flying. If I can get into my desktop later, I got some video from inside the circle while we were flying. I was flying with one hand and filming with the other, and they actually came out pretty good. I can't do it on my phone, but I'll try to get in on my desktop and show that. I'm
Yeah,
actually
That was a nice video, Mike.
playing
it's up on Facebook.
So
We
is it just the motors? I mean, that how do you
11,
keep
we
it
went
at
back-
75?
we broke one prop. The prop. Most guys you fly like 25s, LA 25 or 40s. You fly 40 on a big foaming like this, big giant foamy, you fly 40, and you run anywhere from a 9.4, 9.5, 9.6 prop, and it's about around 75 on a bladder. And then the 25s you run on 8.4s, 8.5s, and 8.6s, and that's 75. If you're too fast, you just go down a pitch and prop. You know, if you're too slow,
okay.
you go up one. Generally, that range of 3 pitches, 4, 5, 6, will get you in the ballpark.
Yeah, Rusty. Samantha's she turned 19 last year in the fall, so that made her an adult. Except in the World Championship, is 21.
Okay. Yeah, I wasn't sure what the age cutoffs were about that.
Yeah.
So what's the final word on? I guess the FAI championship's going to be next year instead of this year.
Yes. Yeah.
And so, how are they going to do the team trials? Are they going to do the team trials right for the one following on that'll come in?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh boy.
It could be held at the same time. They always, because I guess I don't think there's going to be a lot of kids going to the FAI because they're holding it at the end of August. Hell, the kids will be back in school.
True enough.
You know, that was the same problem we had with the Australian World Championships. We wanted to go, but that was held during her finals week.
Oh, gee. Yeah.
And the school wouldn't let her take them early or come back and take them late. So we didn't get to go to Australia because of school.
Oh, that's sad.
But yeah, I think that if she decides to do it again, she'll go as she'll try out for the woman's spot on the team.
Ah, yeah. Well, she have a good shot at that.
Yeah, I told her, I said they decided to put a woman on there so somebody could do cooking and cleaning for the team. She said, yeah, like that's going to happen.
How'd she go to that? Take to that? Not very good, I imagine.
Yeah. Hey, Tom, since you're so psychic, let me know ahead of time if I'm going to swear or anything, okay?
Yes, you are. So don't do it.
You know, can you pick out the hour or like within 10 minutes so I know to?
Within 10 minutes.
Every 10 minutes?
Every 10 minutes, yeah. Warn him.
So, Brian, why'd you take your name out? Are you on a different computer or something?
I'm sorry, what?
Your name says fellow gister.
I'm a fellow gister? I'm sorry. Let me unfellow gister myself.
I thought you were trying to hide your identity or something here.
Top secret, man.
Yeah, he didn't want you two to know who he is.
All right, let me see. How am I going to do this thing? This stuff.
The radical Romanian.
Yeah, the radical Romanian. Yeah.
Says me.
Yeah.
Call him the double R. It's the double
Yeah.
R coming on.
Or, as you're also known in some circles, that Russian guy.
Yeah,
That's what somebody I called you one time. Said we were talking about the show. He says, "Oh yeah, I like that Russian guy." I straightened him out though.
Good. Someone has to put him in his place.
Have you showed your wing yet that you were starting the other night?
He hasn't.
He hasn't done that?
Hey, that looks good.
Oh, it's getting there.
Ah, yeah, it looks nice.
I just have to finish this spot here in the center, and I'm gonna leave this side open so I can put my control horn and stuff like that. And as you can see, the pin is already installed.
All right.
Epoxy displacement. So it's pretty much done.
Cool.
You're going to love the way the airplane flies.
Yeah, but I anticipate to use a lot of area.
I've always wanted to fly one of those, but I've never had the opportunity.
I'll give you guys a hell of a building tip. Wednesday. It was kind of shitty and stuff, so I figured that shitty is not saying the same thing.
It is too.
There you go.
I'll tell you too.
1/4.
1/4.
Yeah.
All right, Steve. You always a core every time you do it.
You know what? I was watching.
We're gonna get rich, boys.
On something on TV, and they were talking about words that are considered like swear words and stuff like that. And they said a lot of the words that are considered swear words are Old English.
Yep.
And they were normal words, except the highbrows painted them as a bad word because common people used them.
Yep. That's true.
And I was gonna, like the word I just used, look it up to see what it really meant one day, because they were saying other words that totally meant something different, and they associated it with things. But they were saying that a lot of these words were not bad words.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Like the word that we use now for roosters.
Yeah.
Well, you know something funny. My wife was saying something about, she was still saying rooster fight. Everybody bursted out laughing. It's like, you can't say that. Say, why not? It means rooster. No, it doesn't. They're looking at, and this was about a few months after she came into the United States, right? And I said, no, it's not. And she said, look in the dictionary. And they looked in the dictionary, and she was right, actually.
And where does the pilot sit in an airplane?
In the rooster pit.
In the rooster pit.
Yeah, my old neighbor used to have one of them pea roosters. What would you call it? Because you can't say pee either. It was a urinary rooster.
No, you eat peas.
Yeah, you can't say that no more, though.
Do you know the F-bomb word in the Old English had connotations about being caught in the act or something like that?
For unlawful carnal knowledge.
Yeah. And it was it was used by the highbrows.
Hey, Rusty, can we still use hand gestures?
Behind your back.
Yeah.
Behind your back.
Wow.
If you really gotta try it and see, Steve. I don't know, but I'll have to. If you can't, then I probably have to spend a couple of hours looking for it so I can clip that part out of the video later.
Hey,
Oh.
Rusty, we're gonna be nice. We're gonna just put, hey, Steve, I just put my my hand behind my back. I made a fist and I extended a certain finger. Oh God, we are just horrible. We just want to give Rusty the worst time ever.
I know it.
Yeah, we need to get past all this.
So come on, guys, the Nats are coming soon. Who's going to the Nats?
Chirp,
Parking.
chirp,
A lot of us-
chirp, 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 chirp. Cricket.
All right. So
free
what you
flight
guys building on this, you know?
I'll be going there, but I'm not sure when I'm going. I gotta drop off this trophy that Samantha won last year.
Oh, gotta
But
give it back.
Why don't you just
I'm
come
not
and
gonna-
fly?
I'm not going to fly or stay or anything else. But
Fly not beginner, Steve. I mean, hell.
Put it in the
You
box.
are there, you might as well just do something.
because I don't want to be around a bunch of people at the Nats.
Like me, of course. I get it.
No, just anybody.
Oh, why is that?
It's antisocial.
Love them that much?
We can't mention why I'm not going.
Yeah.
Oh.
So the free flight Nats got canceled.
Yeah.
And that's because of the NFFS, National Free Flight Society. You know, that's a special interest group, and they canceled it.
Yeah.
Why? They don't. They're out in the middle of. Okay.
For reasons we cannot mention.
I'm
I
just
mean,
not
if
going
anything,
because of,
social distance, free flight with social distance.
I'm just not going because of I don't want to stay in a motel. I don't want to eat in restaurants and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Basically.
Well, I don't want to drive 3 days to get there
Yeah. Not
and,
civilized.
and have 20 guys in my class.
Well, the other thing is that if you want to get what we can't mention, just drive to Arizona. It'll be a lot easier. It's not as far.
My stepdaughter just had to spend 2 weeks in Arizona,
Oh
and,
man.
and she works for UPS, and it turned out that UPS has a policy. She's one of the mid-level people, you know. Anyway, before she could go back to work up here, she had to go and be tested and everything else, and everything was okay. But she mentioned that today that she was worried about it, and apparently everything worked out okay. Though, whoops, maybe I'm talking a little too much about. They could probably guess what I'm talking about. Oh, yeah.
No, not. I don't have a clue.
Yeah, we have no.
Oh, okay.
No clue. Yeah, we don't know.
Well, what I was saying is, with bad weather, well, it really wasn't bad, but crappy weather. I guess that's better. I decided to do some monocoating, so I got everything out, got the iron heated up, stuff like that. Bam, the power goes out.
If it's not one, it's the other.
So I was like, geez, so I guess I'm not going to monocoat. And I just got power back on. Well, I got power back on there. I just got my refrigerator fixed. When the power outage took out the electronic relay for the compressor, which cost me about $100 to get one for that. I was hoping it did. I'm lucky it didn't take out the compressor, that went first, but voltage surge or something. And
But isn't that covered by the insurance company?
yeah, but I got like a $600 deductible. But so, and then they raise the price of your insurance if you use it. You only have insurance that you don't want to use.
Oh,
I find it such a trashy insurance policy.
you know, the guy I
I mean, it's like you're insured because things happen, right?
Yeah.
and you shouldn't be penalized because things happen.
The guy I feel bad for is Ken Culbertson. He gets a good airplane. He's going to take it and use it for the nets, and his house catches on fire and everything burns down. His whole shop, his house, everything. So,
Oh,
yeah.
oh, how terrible.
So the church is building a new house, and he and his wife were talking about where the shop was going to be. Now, got to go back a little bit. The fire started in his wife's craft room, not his shop.
The she shed.
And she said, "No, your shop isn't going to be in the house." So Ken's working up. He's been in.
There's a guy commercial about that, isn't there?
Yeah, he's been talking with Holterman out of Germany that did that airplane that's got the canard on the front and the elevator. And he's doing his. He calls it the end game. Was his design, and he's designing an end game that has the canard on the front and the elevator in the back and the flaps.
And he was looking for a double belt crank just this evening, I believe.
Yeah, I think what he wants is one that's like a crucifix.
Yeah.
And people don't know what he meant by double. I don't know anybody that makes one though.
So I think Dave McIntyre or somebody said just go out and get some Bakelite or something rather and cut your own.
Yeah, that's what I did. I bought some from out of China through Amazon. It's 1/8 inch thick, nice linen Bakelite, and that makes really good bell cranks. So it didn't cost a whole lot. I got a stack of about maybe 20 of them. They're like 8 inches by 6 inches or something like that.
Well, I was like last year. A car was weaving in and out of traffic at high speeds and hits the front end of Samantha's car and sent her off the road. And it did, I don't know, like $3,000 worth of damage. It was up on 2 wheels. You could see it was in 2 wheels in the medium and everything. She got back out because even had a person stop and everything. But since she did not get the license plate number of the car who hit her, that they charged it as a chargeable offense on her.
Inattentive driver.
Yeah, and so it costs $100 more a month for her to drive now because of a hit and run with witnesses and that. You know, they said, well, no one got the license plate number.
That's bogus.
I know. That's the way insurance works, but
that is bogus. It's like having insurance. You don't want to use it because it's going to cost you more. Yeah.
Didn't matter.
Well, when I go into Best Buy and stuff, and they try to sell me an extended warranty, I'll ask the lady or guy there. Said, if this is so bad, I need to buy an extra warranty. Should I even be buying it? If it's that crappy, and they'll look at me really funny, and they're like, "Well, I think it's a good product." I'm like, "Then why are you trying to push an extra warranty on me then?"
Were we talking about Bakelite bell cranks?
Yeah.
Is that the stuff Tom Morse uses? Is that Bakelite or?
No, I think that's that stuff circuit boards are made out of, and I forget the name of it now.
FR4 circuit boards are FR4 fiberglass.
Bakelite is an impregnated linen product.
Oh, is it really? Okay, that was one of the first plastic materials.
Came out of World War II. Came out of World War II. So if I knew where I had them.
What was first, Bakelite or Bake-A-Heavy?
It was back. It was a don't touch this.
Yeah, they probably made gun stocks and stuff out of it. I don't know. It's good, hard, strong stuff, though.
Well,
They
they made
still
like
make.
Kewpie dolls and stuff like that out of in radios. Remember the old day? My mom had a radio and all cracked and stuff. And I remember my dad says that damn Bakelite. I didn't know what Bakelite
Yeah.
was, but I just figured it was a cheap plastic.
Well, it was what they had at the time.
Yeah.
It was new.
It was
You know, in
before
the 30s
polymers
and 40s,
came.
and it did the job.
It was before polymers really.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah. They didn't have things like epoxies. Remember, a lot of airplanes, Russian airplanes, were built with wood and impregnated with some kind of it wasn't an epoxy, but they use it like we'd use an epoxy, and they'd mold the like the yak and the I think even the MiG had these. Oh, and the lags had these wooden fuselages that were molded like that. They called them flying pianos.
Why flying pianos?
Because of the wood there, and it was all molded. And I guess if they wanted it, they could make it shiny. I'm guessing on that, but it was interesting because the Russians they didn't have a lot of aluminum or structural metallic materials to build airplanes. They had lots of wood, and so a lot of those early fighters that they made in World War II used wood spars, a lot of wood construction because that's what they had the most of. And they came up with this molding technique. The mosquito bomber used 64th ply and laid in and molded their fuselages and their wing skins and all that were molded out of wood. The mosquito had a lot of wood parts in it also.
Yeah. Wasn't it a wood plane?
Yeah.
The Mosquito?
Yeah, I think so. It's fast though. It was one of the fastest fighters in World War II.
Yeah, that's how that was their defense. Run away.
Yeah. Well, that's it. They didn't have defensive guns on them. They had the speed and they would run away from the other fighters. Mm-hmm. They used it a lot for photo recon, and they did a lot of high speed.
Yeah, that's what they developed the white glue for. It was a milk product.
What'd you say there, Rusty? Did we lose Rusty?
Rusty.
He's frozen up.
No, he's
moving. He's moving.
That's what, like I was saying, that's where the white glue came from. They developed it. Where that glue came from, they developed it with a milk for that project.
Yeah, I believe that. But yeah, a lot of those early fighters and that.
Okay, I just turned my mic off and on.
They had a lot of wood parts in them.
Yeah, I was watching a thing on Discovery Channel or whatever. It was talking about World War II airplanes and stuff. And I guess it was a Grumman engineer or whatever, but he was looking at pictures and he started really posting out where bullet holes were in these airplanes. So after he had thousands of pictures with all these bullet holes, he transferred it all to one airplane.
Oh, there's a Saginaw 3.
Yeah. And then he told the engineers, wherever there's not a bullet hole is where you need to put in armor. And they said, well, why? They're like, why is that? He goes, because where them planes got hit that we show no bullet holes, they're the ones that crashed. Because when he did all the bullet holes, they had bullet holes all over. There were certain places on this airplane that was bullet free. And that's how they came up with where to armor and make the armor stronger on some of these fighter and bombers, was because if they had a hole and they didn't crash, you didn't need armor there.
Makes sense.
Yeah, I'm like, well, that was pretty smart of the guy, really come up with that kind of thinking.
Did you guys see that picture of the Saginaw?
Yeah.
Yeah, hold on. I've got to pull that back up again.
That's really a sharp-looking profile.
It's one of the old, back when everybody's building the jet styles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Phenolic. That's the word I was looking for when we were talking about backlight.
Yep. Phenolic.
So the Stuntman 23, it was a vintage performance model airplane is the name of the company. I see they got a lot of classic combat control line and then profile Noblers and stuff like that. Anybody else buy anything from them?
What's the name of the company?
Vintage performance model airplanes.
I've never heard of it.
Mm-mm. My Stuntman 23s came from Carl Goldberg.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a shame about Carl Goldberg, the way he died.
I don't know anything
He died
about
in an
it.
airplane crash or something, didn't he?
No,
he died from AIDS.
Or he died from AIDS?
Oh.
He got it through a blood transfusion.
Oh.
And that was the
Yeah,
bad thing. People today are living that have AIDS and they've got medication now, but they didn't then. And the poor guy died, I think, before his time.
Yeah,
Did he get a car accident or something, or had an operation where?
My wife had a relative, Stephen, who died of AIDS, and actually he's got a part of the AIDS quilt. My wife and her sister made a quilt to commemorate him.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, back in the early 80s, that's when it was starting to turn up and there was no treatment at all. It was just a complete scare. I mean, it was a scary thing.
It was a death sentence.
Yeah, our class president died of it.
Queen Freddie Mercury died from it.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, our class president was a steward on an airplane, and he flew from Grand Rapids to San Francisco all the time. And he ended up getting it in the early 80s. Died of it. When he first got it, they didn't even know what he had. Then they finally named it or whatever.
Yeah. Well, thank heavens for the fact that they have, I mean, you got to be careful if you got it, but as I understand, but they have medication now that they can keep you alive.
Well, it's only
it's not near
only
the.
30
It's not
years,
the.
40 years later.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not near the big scary thing it was back then.
Well, remember when we were kids, the scary thing was polio.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember taking the sugar cubes or the shots. I don't remember. It was some of the vaccinations.
The sugar cube, the salt vaccination.
Yeah,
What did you get in your arm there? I got that big ass scar.
That's smallpox.
Yes.
Oh, smallpox.
Yeah.
I remember when I was in the 6th grade, they redone that.
Yeah, they do.
Swell all up and stuff after they hit me again with it.
Yeah.
And the sad thing is nowadays there's so many people that say, "Oh, I don't want to get my kids' vaccinations because it causes this, or that, or the other thing." And now, so you have measles outbreaks and all this other sort of stuff. That, I mean, really,
How many of you guys had whooping cough when you were a kid?
no.
I got it.
And I had it.
That was terrible.
They thought she was going to die, actually. And my grandma was, I don't know, they call them Pennsylvania Dutch, but they're German.
Right.
No one came in her house. And the only time my mom had a friend come in the house was when they thought she was going to die, and they let her best friend come in to talk to her. But then she lived, but she never had another friend in the house.
Well, you'd get coughing on that, and you just couldn't catch your breath.
Mm-hmm. That's what my mom said. She said she was sick for like 6 months, really, with it.
Yeah.
Even when it got better.
Well, I got 2 coats of dope on my Hyper Viper wing and sanded and doped on, I think it was on Sunday. And I got to get out tomorrow and sand it one more time and put one more coat of dope on it. And then I'm going to put the paper on it. So next time I see Bob, when he asks me if I used the paper he sent me, I'll be able to tell him truthfully, yes.
Okay.
Hold on a second. If you take what Rusty just said,
I've been
from a different point of view,
doping it,
you're talking about dope, and you're talking about paper, and you're talking about Jesus Christmas. We're having a drug paraphernalia speech.
Oh yeah. Well, Rusty, how many coats of that illicit material are you putting on before you cover?
I will have put 3 coats of dope on it before I put the paper on it.
Makes it harder to light.
Yeah.
I couldn't help it, Rusty. It was just hanging out there like a big old ball. Well, that's about right. 3. I usually do 2 or 3 coats on the framework.
I don't know how thin this dope is. I mixed it up a couple of years ago, and it's tight. And the level, I marked the level on the bottle, on the outside of the bottle, and it has not dropped since I mixed it. So I assume it's about the same thickness I mixed it at. It's around 50-50. So that's what I've been using.
Now, are you using SIG or are you using
Brodac?
Huh?
Brodac dope.
Brodac dope?
Butyrate. Yeah, butyrate.
Well, the one thing, it's like I seen one of Sparky's deals, and John said, I used to only put on 3 coats of dope, but now I got to use 4.
Really?
I got a can of SIG dope, and I got a can of the it's not Brodac, it's whoever makes the other one.
Randolph.
If you dip it with a cup, I swear to God, SIG dope is twice as thick as what Randolph dope is. So if you do a 50-50 with them, the Randolph is a lot thinner than what the SIG would be.
That reminds me. That reminds me how we used to paint our airplanes back when I was a kid, a teenager in the 50s. We used to take the dope and we'd pour it full strength on the silk span. Then we'd use a brush and move it around a little bit to get. And we covered it in 1 coat.
Yeah.
Yeah, but don't you? If you put it on too heavy, you'll get like stalactites hanging from the inside of the paper, won't you?
Well, not if you keep moving it around and turning it upside down and right side up.
Well, yeah, that's true. It'll spread out.
Yeah, but it's coated on both sides,
Yeah.
And you can
Well, let
see
me ask y'all this: when you're just doing the wood before you put the paper on, do you put any on the tops of the edges of the ribs?
Yes.
Yeah, you have
You
to.
do.
It won't stick.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I thought.
It'll stick, but if you don't do it, you'll have the tops of the ribs there will be kind of dry and pocky mark.
And then you can't get rid of the fuzz that sticks up if you don't, put a little bit on it and then knock it down with sandpaper either.
Right. Yeah, it'll be rougher than hell.
If you got fuzz sticking up, you probably put the paper on upside down.
Well, this is before paper. This is just little balsa ticklers sticking up. And I was going to try to do it without putting any on the rib edges, but once I started doing it, I realized I needed at least enough on there to clear all that up so I could, with sandpaper, just knock it back smooth.
Yeah, you want to get dope on there, and then, like you said, sand it all down. I do in between coats, and then you don't see as many grain marks and stuff in it.
Yeah, I just don't know how much. I just don't know how much I should sand it between coats. I might be sanding too much, but it's gaining a little weight. That rib weighed 49 grams when it didn't have. Well, actually, I had done one center sheet before I remembered to weigh it, but it weighed 49 grams. And then after I doped it and sanded it the first time, it had gained 4 grams, and that seemed like an awful lot.
Well, that's what I said, that with my that fuselage that I doped, 3 coats of dope on it, sanded between all of them, I gained 0.4 of an ounce. That's just a clear.
That's
and I'm
7 grams. Yeah, that's 7 grams.
See, I do it a little differently, Rusty. I'll put on the first coat, and then I'll put on the second coat, let it dry, then I'll go in with like 320 paper and sand it then, and then I put another coat on, and then let that dry, sand it lightly. You just want to get it smooth. You don't want to sand it off.
Yeah, from what I've been reading, you just want to get the fuzzies off.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. I sanded, and I used 220. That was probably a little too aggressive. So after the next coat, I'll do 320 lightly and then put the paper on.
Yeah, you'll be happy.
Yeah.
It's
you
a
put
learning
paper
process.
on with water, and then you dope on top of that after you get it full tight, right?
Yeah. After it's all dry, I usually let it sit overnight and dry out.
Yeah. You do the bottom of the wing first and then the top, or does it? It doesn't really matter what does it.
I think it matters.
That's the way I do with the iron-on coating. I do the bottom first, but with
the iron-on coating, what you want to do is you want to start from the leading edge and work yourself back on the wing, so all your skins are facing the rear of the airplane.
Well, actually, what that means is, in that case, you start at the trailing edge and put you're putting different colors on, but you want your laps to be not facing the airstream, but and that means you start from the back going to the front, and you do that on the fuselage as well, and you start from the bottom going up on the.
That's right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
But
that makes sense.
With silk spanner paper, it's not as important because as you sand it, once you get a buildup of dope on it, you can sand it. You can sand any of those lap lines or anything. You can sand them completely; they disappear.
Okay, I got one more question then. Where I'm going to glue the center sheeting to the fuselage, am I going to glue it right down to where the paper is, or should I leave the paper off of the gluing area?
I always go right through the fuselage because I want the paper gives the wing some strength, and if you stop at the edges of the fuselage, you're creating a stress riser right there. And so if you go
stress riser.
Yeah, stress riser. So there's a spot where the stress gets concentrated, and you're liable to break your wing in a situation where you put a lot of stress on it. So what you do though?
So the paper is just like a part of the wood by the time you finish doping it down, I guess. So I'll epoxy I'll epoxy that joint of the fuselage and the wing together.
And people don't realize when you slide a wing inside a fuselage, it doesn't have to be glued in there that hard because you're just keeping it from pulling out.
Yep.
And I mean, you know, it's glued in there. It's not going to pull out. You know, you won't want it to
Yeah,
rock.
you're right.
But I mean, it's not like I know people, they glue epoxy them in and all that kind of stuff. And it's like, geez, you know, if the fuselage is built to hold it, it doesn't have to be glued in there like that.
Well, and
Yeah.
along with what you're saying there, Steve, when you're using monocoat or a plastic iron-on, you could also go right over, but then you fit where. Again, my friend Brickhouse taught me this, where you fit and you make a little line where your fuselage side is, and then you take it out and you cut little diamonds up, so that clear down to the wood. But they're connected right through the wing. Now, when you set it in there, you glue it in there. When you make your fillet comes in and goes right and adds to the strength as well, because you can get to the wood and you cover that up, those little diamonds up, and now your wing is really captured in there and it looks pretty, and it's got the covering going right through the fuselage.
Yeah, on this one that I'm going to do, I stick it in the fuselage and then get everything squared up. I'll mark it with a Sharpie. And then I just go in and scuff the covering, slide it back in, use a little CA. You ain't budging that thing.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, and I put it in, and usually I'll put it in a little fillet for looks, but I put that right over top of the covering, you know, the iron-on too.
Yep.
Never had a problem so far. I mean, all of Samantha's airplanes are done that way, and never had a wing pull out or the stab or anything else.
I have never had a wing pull out in my life. On my old Ringmaster that I built back in the 50s, you know how the front of the fuselage is shaking so much and the front of the wing would break loose?
Yeah.
And you're always re-gluing that thing, and then pretty soon the glue won't stick because you got so much oil in there and all that. We did that, but we didn't learn about putting a little T in there and bringing it in, sliding it in so it's underneath it's at the juncture and it's got the doublers, you know, and it sits in there and stops that from happening.
Yeah.
Hey guys, I want to show you something.
What I used to do is I used to take a piece of either balsa or a little piece of plywood, and when you have the bell crank plates, you just you cut a little piece and you put that between the fuselage, inboard fuselage side and the little plywood plate that you have holding the bell crank in. That ain't going anywhere.
True enough.
Okay, so what you got, Trey? Trey said he had something.
I want to show how I'm going to make this lightweight elevator. So this is basically a typical construction like you always do, you know, with sticks and balsa wood and stuff like that. So the idea I have here is just to keep this as light as possible and reinforce it. So what I'm going to do like with cap strips, like you put on a wing like this, put a cap strip on a trailing edge, and I have these molded leading edges that are going to go on top of the leading edge. But the cool part is that what I want to do in between this and that, like this, I want to put some unidirectional carbon fiber. So basically, I'm going to put the carbon fiber like this, and I'm not going to glue it on. I'm just going to put it with some 3M77, the contact cement adhesive, right?
Yeah.
And then when this is going to come on top of it, like this, it's going to make like a sandwich. The carbon fiber is between the wood, the two pieces of wood. When I hit it with thin CA, it's going to wick inside and it's going to harden the carbon fiber strip as well.
That'll work.
That carbon fiber strip, is that just veil? Is that what you're talking about, omnidirectional?
No.
It's not?
No.
Okay, you showed us those strips.
What I did,
this is unidirectional carbon fiber. This is not a veil. Veil is junk. Veil has no structural integrity whatsoever. In order for the carbon fiber to work, it has to be like a long strand, and it needs to be stretched out. If you have waviness in it, if you have any kind of craziness in a carbon fiber, that's the spot where it's going to be very weak. It's not going to give you the strength unless you stretch it out and you keep the strength in the same direction. So that's the trick right there.
I would disagree to a certain extent, because the Brodak Vector 40, when you're doing the front fuselage, there was discussion on Stunt Hangar about plywood, your plywood
doublers.
Yes, and the Vector 40 kit from Brodak, at least when I got it, it did not use any plywood at all. You had you had the fuselage side sheet, and you had a doubler, but it was balsa. But you took carbon veil and you put it between the two pieces of balsa, and put some epoxy on it. That thing was I would say it was like it was stiff as a board.
All right, I don't know. Honestly, I don't think I really agree with the theory of that 100%. Maybe it work, whatever.
Yeah,
But
just say that if you go out and you buy a Brodak Vector 40, if they're still if Randy's still doing them the same way, it's no plywood doublers at all. It's two pieces of balsa with a carbon veil sandwich.
But the only value that I see for the veil as a use is if you put it on the outside of the fuselage, on the outside of the wings, under your silk span. And the only value it will have for you is that if people try to put their nails like this through your wing, they cannot, because that's the only strength that veil is going to offer you.
Well, Bob
you want strength, you need to have
Bob Hunt uses veil over his foam wings, and he doesn't put anything over the top of them. He can put he can put monocoat or whatever you want over it, but he basically just sticks carbon fiber veil right over the outside of his foam wings.
Trayan, you're using the unidirectional to perform a certain function, and it's best in the function you're using it. It's far better than the carbon veil, but where the carbon veil is being used on the Vector kit, it's creating a very strong part, and its function is different than what you're using.
I would agree with that. Yes.
I was going to say, trying that, what I did, and we'll see how it works, is that if you have a 1/4 inch stab, use 1/8 inch material and sandwich that unidirectional in between the two pieces of 1/8 inch. Now you got a 1/4 inch with that in between it.
Well, Steve, there's a about materials. The strength, the maximum strength comes from the section modulus, which is this figure the threads of the material the closest to the surface. So the further apart they are, the stronger it gets. That's why an I-beam is built the way it is. It gets the section modulus further away from the center. You put it in the center, it doesn't have the strength as if you do like Trayan is doing with one. He's putting it between the top and bottom, and he's not in the middle, but the top and the bottom. He's getting that spread out so he gets a stronger section modulus, if that's the correct way of referring to it.
I think the strength that you get on a Vector right now by gluing that carbon fiber veil in between the two sides of the two doublers, you get more strength just from the epoxy that you put in there than the veil itself.
That may be
I'm
true.
willing to bet that if you glue two pieces with just epoxy in between them and no veil, and make another one with veil, the increase, the benefit from the carbon fiber, it's minimal. You might as well just put a piece of paper and you're better off.
The guy that made the RSM kits, he was saying that back in the old day, before they came out with carbon fiber veil, they'd get lunch bags, and brown paper the thin lunch bags, and put that in between two pieces of balsa. And he said, you can't believe how much that will strengthen up.
Yeah, I suppose what it is, even with the carbon fiber veil, is that you know, your balsa has a certain your balsa, the grain runs in a certain direction, and as soon as you put something that does not have what I would say does not necessarily have a stress factor in one direction or another, like any kind of weave product, all of a sudden it makes that whole sandwich stronger than it would be without it.
Yeah. I mean, you can just use this material here, and this is going to be 100 times better than what you're using right now.
Oh yeah, no, of course it's much denser.
This is actually, this is a 30 grams per square meter. It's very lightweight, but it has grain in this direction and on one side and grain in opposite direction on the other side. But
Wow.
because you have grain in a certain direction, it's going to give you stiffness.
That's impressive.
The veil, what the veil does, every grain of veil that you see of the carbon fiber is like a curly thing, right?
Yeah.
So in which direction does it give you strength?
Well, what the veil is doing is it's trying to give you the best. It's a, how would I say? It's an intermediate step. It gives you. It's trying to give you additional support without having with the least amount of material. It's better. It's basically better than nothing, and it's certainly lighter than plywood.
Like I said, because the veil is made the way it's made, and I have a piece of veil right here, right? When you put it on top on the exterior of the fuselage or on the wing, it just gives you stiffness, so you cannot put your nails through it. But it's not structural.
I have to say something here that kind of supports Tran and what he's saying. I just thought about it. I built the Dick Mathis Excalibur, which is and Dick he did not use plywood doublers on his planes. He used half-inch triplers, doublers and triplers. So his up near where the front of the airplane was, they were 3/4 of an inch, well, an inch and a half thick. But there was no carbon veil, no paper in that. It was just epoxied together. They didn't have carbon veil back when he designed it. And that airplane, I crashed the airplane, and the nose is still in good shape.
Now, for structural purposes, you have to put the carbon in the right direction. Otherwise, it's no good.
Yeah.
It's just going on for the right. That's why the direction in which I'm going to put this carbon right now, it goes exactly in the direction where I need the stiffness, which is in this, in the direction of the spar, right?
Right.
So,
why don't they call it one directional instead of unidirectional?
Uni means one.
If you can only use it in one direction, then it should be one directional cloth.
Uni is more. A European understands the term uni. A Japanese understands the term uni. It surpasses the languages.
Okay.
So here you go. If you can see this.
Yeah.
So anyways, and I'm going to do something else to this. I'm going to also put uni on the top of the ribs. Mm-hmm. And then I'm going to put cap strips on top of them. So I can kind of constrain in between them.
Well, I'd be tempted to use some lightweight balsa and sheet the entire top and bottom.
Oh, yeah, I see that, yeah. But, you can definitely do that. You can definitely do that at this point, and you don't need any more uni in that direction. I just want to have a hollow look to it.
I understand.
I guess,
It's personal preference at that point.
And I think it might be a little bit lighter because you don't have all the balsa in there.
Yeah.
Well, Bob Hunt even makes a lost foam tail staff that you can get from him. And what I did was I know that Fitzgerald wrote an article on it, how, made it up that way. But all I did is that I built it up like that. Then I sanded an airfoil shape on it. And then I just covered it with 16th inch balsa wood. And the tail was super light and it was strong. I mean, that's on, it's not a Vector 40. It's one. Hey, Charles, are you still on here?
I think Charles left.
Yeah, he dropped off at some point.
Oh, I see it still says his name.
Oh,
Yeah, it does.
Oh, yeah, there it is. He's Charles Carter.
Yeah.
Charles.
He's sandbagging.
I guess. Oh, I can't think of the name of that.
SV11?
No. They made it in the 1 and the 2, and I can't think.
Dreadnought?
Huh?
A Dreadnought?
No. It has more of the elliptical tip wings on it.
That sounds like a good one.
Yeah, that's a Dreadnought.
No, the Dreadnought clips them.
Oh.
It's either the Dreadnought or the Tempest.
Tempest.
Oh, okay.
We built that Tempest 40 for Samantha, and that's the way I did the stab like that on it. We did a arrow gun. I can't remember what kind they call it when you sand it. Airfoil. We put an airfoil stab in it and stuff. Worked real good.
Pain in the butt.
But yeah, I know that on this SV11 ARF, that stab with everything in the horn weighs 3.2 ounces. I know Sparky wants them at 3 or under, but I thought that's pretty damn good. That's fairly light for that big of a stab on an airplane.
Pretty light for us ham-fisted Cretans.
I don't know how much. What's the SV11? What's the stab area on that? I wonder.
Oh, jeez.
I don't know. I should know.
200-300 maybe.
It's
I
probably
forgot the
20 to
percentage.
24% of the wing area.
Yeah, I was about to say that's about the rule of thumb, isn't it?
Yeah. No, the wing area is what 790. So 800. So it'll be 200 then, I guess.
The wing area on a Tempest.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a lot. That sounds really big though. Wow, I didn't know it.
No, I mean 690. I'm sorry.
Okay, that
Yeah,
sounds more just
690. Yeah, they're all about the same. So that'd be what? That'd be 25% of that then.
Yeah, right.
So it'd be less than 200 square inches.
Yeah, sorry, I had to step away. My wife needed my help, so back.
Oh, that is of the highest importance.
That's right.
Yeah.
Keep happy wife, happy life.
That's right.
So true, so true.
I heard I came back and I heard part of the discussion with the unidirectional and the mat. I want to use the mat, but I think that they both work. But I think that Tryan's right that the cross-directional would be stronger.
I have to agree.
Oh, well, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, you take this veil. I don't care. You can put it like I'm going to fold it several times. Here, watch this. This is a lot more veil that that it goes in that unidirectional. So I'm going to fold it 1, 2, 3 times. So I have 6 times the amount of carbon in here. than I would have on that piece. And if I try to take this like this,
Right.
can you see it?
Yeah.
Look how
Yeah.
easy. Like,
Right.
I mean, what is this?
Oh, come on, that's not fair.
Well, watch them do the unidirectional. You'll see the difference.
All right. This is the unidirectional. This is
Careful.
the unidirectional.
Careful you don't get a splinter in your fingers.
Okay. Look how thin it is. Can you
Right.
tell how thin this is?
Yeah. Yeah. A lot stronger than you.
I can't break it. I cannot break it because I'm pulling in a direction in which gives you the strength. This has no direction, has no strength.
Yeah, but I wouldn't use one strip of that as a doubler for the engine for the front of the airplane.
No,
It's
but
the
you take that sheet of stuff he showed us that has a grain going diagonally.
You see my finger?
Yeah.
You can see the indents from the carbon fiber, and I didn't even. It's nothing. It's still in one piece.
I agree. I agree, except I go back to what a lot of instances, what like Brett Buck and some of these other guys that have been around a lot longer than most of us on this chat, is that what is enough is what is like just too much and to the extreme, and what is enough for the application. And I go back to like, what is enough for the application?
Yeah, but when you fly, when you see somebody fly and his elevator is doing this number, right?
Right.
And his wing is doing this number, and you can look at pictures on the wings in a corner in a loop, and you can see the wing.
I never said that you would use carbon fiber veil on your elevators or as a spar reinforcement. That's a whole nother animal. There was a thread on Stunt Hangar where somebody was building a Nobler, and Noblers were built with basically no plywood at all. The old Noblers, it was just your engine bearers and some balsa doublers on top and below the engine bearers, and those Noblers flew for freaking decades, for crying out loud. And no carbon fiber at all either.
So you have to design considering the vibrations, the strengths that are necessary in certain portions of the fuselage to carry the load and the vibration. You take a real shaker, and you have to really beef up the nose. Say like a ST60 in a 4-stroke mode, they can vibrate quite a bit.
Yeah.
But if you're designing for electric, you can cut out a lot of weight because you don't have the vibration. You have to have the longitudinal stability or strength fore and aft to that so that it doesn't buckle on you. But you can build a much lighter electric fuselage than you can for an IC motor.
I mean, like,
the reason for which I'm doing this on this elevator is because I want to eliminate this in the air and the twisting in it. I want to have none of that. I don't want none of that.
This is one of the elevators for the Pathfinder. I do not feel any need to put carbon fiber reinforcement on something this big.
Well, you're right. You don't, but there's a lot more mass to that than in the one that he's building right now. You see how small, it almost looks like an indoor frame for a wing. He's keeping it really, really light. So he needs to add the carbon fiber to get the torsional rigidity that he wants. I've got the same elevator and stab on my LE, and that's not a problem I have to deal with. It does not twist or do anything like that. Funny in the air, neither does the wing. But Gordon designed that way.
So one thing that I've noticed ever since I built my composite plane is that because I have no flex in the flaps or no flex in the wing, no flex in the elevator, no flex anywhere, as soon as you give it the input, that plane is going into the, is going to go in the direction in which you told it to go. If you have a system that you have a lot of flexibility in the flaps, and it's a lot in the flaps, trust me on that one, because some people, the flaps, they're wondering why they don't fly right, because one flaps is twisting more than the other one, and you get unequal lift on one side of the plane, and on the other side you go in tricky trim conditions or whatever, But what I've noticed on the new plane, because I have no flex, no twist anywhere, it's so responsive in any control input that you give it. It's unbelievable. You have to feel it. And actually,
and the sad, it's somewhat, I wouldn't say it's a sad thing, but it's somewhat of a sad thing is that is only an artifact because control line stunt has gone to bigger and bigger airplanes. You'll go back to the era when Gene Schaefer and you had all these, you had Gene Schaefer and you had basically everybody was flying a 35 size plane, 550 squares or less with 35s. They were facing corners, the pattern like you wouldn't believe, and they didn't have these issues.
Well, if you want,
can you see that?
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, I got to get me up so I can see what I'm doing. That's a foam. Hell, like getting all kinds of glare.
It's called video feedback. We're seeing you a lot of different times.
Yeah, a million. Yeah.
That's video feedback. You don't have. There's nothing running on your phone. See, there's no video running on your phone.
Oh,
you just have the camera going.
Back. Hold on. God damn this thing.
Ding, ding, ding.
Right, ding, ding, ding.
Yes.
Can you see that? That's a foam wing, and I took carbon fiber and I ran where the spar would be, and then I hooked up to it and came down to the tip.
I think it's a lot of rigidity.
It's really thin. It's like 3/16 wide, and it's super thin. And I took a razor saw and I put a cut in the wing, and then embedded that carbon fiber in there with foam safe CA. You cannot twist the wing at all.
No.
I mean, it is so stiff and so light. I wanted to see if I could make a foam wing that was as light as a buildup. I don't know if this will show it that way when it's all sheeted. But now that it's covered, it looks like a built-up wing. It's the whole wing and everything only weighed 10 ounces or something like that with the flaps, and it's lighter than crap. And it's the stiffest wing I ever built.
Well, Steve, you've got a good idea there, but illustrating what is happening there, the carbon fiber is relying on being glued to the skin of the underside of the skin.
Yeah.
And the foam is soft, so if it was relying on the foam alone, it wouldn't be near as stiff. And the fact that the skin is glued to the foam on both sides is straightening that up. But there is a stress right where that is going under, to your underside of your skin. That if you was I don't know if you could do it. You may not be able to do it, but if you put it hard enough, it would probably break it right there. Okay, but I don't think you may not be able to twist it hard enough and fast enough to do that. So it's a good idea, but remember that you might be better off using a slightly wider, thinner piece, so there's more bearing area than that little skinny one.
Yeah, John is absolutely right. For the simple reason is that your structure is only as strong as the weakest point. And the weakest point in any foam wing, of course, is those styrofoam beads. So, if you have less of a surface area or less styrofoam beads to adhere to, they can pull up. The styrofoam will pull up way before the carbon fiber will do anything, obviously.
Yeah. But it sounds like you're on the right track, Steve. You got a good idea.
Yeah, we'll see how it works. I mean, I grabbed it and tried to twist it and flex it, and it doesn't move. So we'll see if it holds up to a quick load like that when you're doing a square corner. It may peel part of the wing off.
Yeah, if Mike was on here with his combat links, he'd probably say you're doing it just like we would do it.
I've got a free flight, a half-A free flight that was given to me by one of the top free flight guys in the country, and it's got carbon. It makes extensive use of carbon fiber. It's got a little carbon fiber rod for the trailing edge. It's got a little carbon that goes across on the top of each rib. The wing folds like this, and so when it heads up, as it comes up and it blunts, then the wings flop out like that full span, and away it goes. And maybe I'll bring it up and show it next week. It's a beautiful piece of work. It's something I think Trajan would get a kick out of seeing it.
Sure.
I don't know if I'd ever fly it because my one foray into free flight, I built a really nice little free flight back in the day. Used a baby bee in it, and I only had 3 engines. I had a McCoy 35 and 2 baby bees, and I wouldn't fly it because I didn't want to see the plane fly away with one of my baby bees.
You probably would.
Knowing my luck, it would have.
Oh, you weren't worried about the McCoy 35, huh?
No, I had that McCoy 35 in the Nobler. It was flying good. As long as I held on to the handle, sometimes you go over the top of the wing over and near the top there, you're free flighting about 3/4 or half the way across.
I know that.
And you'll get hit with static electricity right in the middle of the hot rock, right in the middle of your palm.
Oh, don't tell me about static electricity in the hot rocks. When there's like a thunderstorm about 20 miles away, and all of a sudden you're getting zapped like every 20 seconds between the handle. Oh, man.
I've never heard about that. I mean, had that happen as many times as I've heard about it. It's never happened to me.
Thank your lucky stars.
You know what I used to fly with?
Because you actually get to the point where, do I want to crash the airplane or do I want to still put up with this?
The way you get rid of it is you take a small piece of bare copper wire and you wrap it on around the upline, and then you wrap it around the handle and you wrap it around the downline.
Yeah, but who the hell ever went out to the flying field to go flying with that freaking contraption ready to go?
We learned to set up all of our handles that way. That way, the static electricity is draining off. You don't even feel it. It drains off. It starts to go a little bit. It drains immediately. I had a friend who came out with a brand new Sterling Spitfire when they first came out, and the kid. He did a beautiful job. He had it all camouflaged and everything, and he took it up for the first flight. And he got up over the wing over, and he got up the top, and pow! It hit him, and he let go. We didn't have any restraints. His hand opened up. He let go, and he had a full tank of fuel in that thing. And I remember watching that thing. The handle there here and the plane here going like this, climbing and climbing, and it, like he said before it got so high, you couldn't hardly hear it anymore. But we were watching it, and the motor finally quit, and it was coming down doing this, and we jumped on our bikes and took off, and it got into a subdivision. You saw it come down in the subdivision, and we were just short, went through the window of somebody's house, or destroyed or whatever. We got to this house, and here it is hanging. The lines are draped over the roof of the house, and that Spitfire sitting there swinging in the breeze. Its outboard wing is about 1.5 feet off the ground. And he runs over, grabs the airplane, holds the lines, and just wraps them up around his hand like that, throws it in his bike. The airplane wasn't hurt at all.
Wow, that's amazing.
I just remember going around and it was like bang, 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 bang.
Yeah, yeah. You got to get low, get down close to the ground. You never had that happen to you there, Rusty?
What'd you say?
You never had that happen to you?
Yeah, I was talking earlier, maybe before you came on, about the only flyaway, sudden free flight experience that I remember having is when I was flying the kitty cat glider plane I made for my little next door neighbor, and we botched the handoff. And I said, "You got it?" And she said, "Yeah." And I let go, and the plane just took off, and it was headed over the house. Now it had a golden bee on it. It was hauling ass pretty good, and it was way over the house. But the handle, the last thing it could have caught, the handle caught a branch on the oak tree in the front yard, and it came down right in front of the front steps of the house and broke the prop. And that's all.
Oh, yeah. The good old days.
I'll have to show you my kitty cat plane sometime. That could make a great shop tour, but I'll have to do it as a video and then upload it so y'all can see a tour of my shop. 'Cause I don't know if I can broadcast from out there or not.
Well, you're all froze up picture-wise right now.
Yeah, it's done that a couple of times tonight. Hang on, I'll fix it.
What are you showing us there, Peter?
Has anybody ever seen one of these?
It looks like a handle.
Yes, that's the solution for the Hot Rocks blaster. This handle I made back in the early 1970s, 80s, and I've had it ever since. And this is basically a takeoff of the handle that Gene Schaefer used to use. The beautiful thing about it is, and I did the modification here so I can turn around and adjust the line spacing. But the thing is, the beautiful thing about this was you went to the field, you had multiple airplanes. You could turn around and use the thumb wheel up here to turn around and get basically any angle. As you can see, I can turn around and thumb it, and I can turn around and change the geometry of the handle on the fly to match any airplane. Plus, of course, there was no wire in the back to zap you. This is handle technology from the 1960s, 1970s.
You know, we were too poor to have multiple handles back when I was a kid. So we had one hot rock. We had to, every time we put it on another airplane, we had to adjust that hot rock for that airplane. Sometimes we got it pretty good, sometimes we didn't. So what you got there is way head and shoulders above an old hot rock as far as
the thumb screws. You can turn around and completely change the geometry of the handle while you're actually flying. So you can tune. I was able to tune it in to any of the airplanes I had at the time, which had what idiosyncrasy or another. And,
what I do now, Peter, what I do now is every airplane has its own handle and set of lines. And I paint the handle up to match the airplane. So
yeah,
no doubt which one it goes with. And when I go flying, if I've got 3 planes, I got 3 handles and 3 sets of lines because I've got it worked out, and that way I don't have to mess with it in a contest.
See that?
The nice thing about this is if I was at the field, and it was not even necessarily for just any particular airplane, but if I felt like, oh, the wind conditions today, maybe I'll give it a little, maybe I'll bias it to a little bit down or bias it to a little bit up. I didn't have to go out there and change channels or do anything. I could just do it on the fly. Yep. But of course, it's big and it's heavy, and you have to get used to flying something like this.
Yeah, that's what I like about the ones they use now. They're very light. You hardly know you got them in your hand.
Yeah, I mean, what we do now is that we have lines for an airplane with clips on them. And so you just put the clip on the handle, and then you have the right, if you need a little up or down.
The deal with that is that you had to do that before you actually got into the air. With this, you could actually tune the handle while you're actually flying to get the feel that you wanted at the time. But like I said, that's technology from back in the 60s. I copied that handle from what Gene Shaver was flying back at the time, and of course things change.
Hey, Peter, I have a question, Peter.
Yes.
So when you're adjusting the handle while it's flying, give me an example of something you fixed, or like you didn't like how I was doing such and such, and then you adjusted the.
I'll give you an example. So that you go to the field and it happens to be a windy day and the plane's just climbing a bit too much into the wind and dropping too much out of it. You can turn around and bias the handle, and so it's not when you're holding it in a natural position, you're not contributing it to climb into the wind. It's really a how would I say? It's not necessarily a performance tweak, but it's how you feel the plane responding to you for any given instant. Typically,
but if you gave it a little bit of
pistol grip, so my hand is like kind of canted forward. So typically, I would be giving it more down than up. But in some instances, when it's a windy day or some other atmospheric condition is going on, I don't necessarily want it. I want to still keep this stance. It's the same pistol grip, but I don't want to necessarily give the plane as much of, let's say, body English to down. I want to crank it maybe a little bit up or a little bit in the other direction until I feel like, hey, I can hold my pistol grip in this particular atmospheric condition and not feel any difference when I'm flying in calm air. So, for instance.
But if you bias it with down because it's windy, when you turn inverted, that's going to make it go up on inverted even more.
True. It's more of a, how would I say? It's more of a feel. Until you do it, I can't really explain it.
I understand what you're saying there, Peter, but there's a couple things that are going on there that we maybe ought to discuss. First off, I used to fly with the pistol grip, and I realized that after watching and talking to people who flew a lot better than me, I had to teach myself to fly with that handle directly, straight up and down. And no bias up or no bias down, straight up and down. And I started getting much better flight. But when you go around, even in the wind, and the plane climbs a little bit, it's because you're coming, you don't have any down thrust on the engine, and the down thrust you're getting precession, and that means that you come into the wind, now you're going faster, so you get more precession, which is 90 degrees out of the phase, and that means the nose wants to rise and climb, and so then you come around and now you're going with the wind, and now the wind is slower, and so now it wants to drop back down. If you run about a degree and a half or so to 2 degrees of down thrust, you'll find that the plane will groove for you, and pretty much so even in the wind. You still get some problems, but not like you got with your thrust line at 0-0. Just my take on it.
Ultimately, what it was is that I still fly. When I fly inverted, I fly like this.
Yeah, a lot of people do.
So that is what I've been told is a really bad habit to begin with anyway, but that's the way I learn. That's the way I flew all the time, and I can't break that habit. Ultimately, and if you turn around and you consider that everybody says you can't have enough adjustability, enough trimmability on how you can set up your airplane. What is wrong with having that same amount of trimmability or adjustability out at the handle while the plane is flying?
Peter, I don't disagree with you. I don't disagree with you, Peter, that the adjustability is fine. But if we address the problem or one of the problems that's causing the problem, then your adjustability, you still have it, but you don't need it as much, or you don't need it at all. Unless you do something wrong and then you need it.
You also need to take it in context that I've never flown in a contest. I've never tried to compete. It was just a thing of personal comfort for me.
I understand. I'm not, believe me, I'm not jumping on you or anything else. These are just things that I've had to learn over the period of time that might help some of the people that are listening or we're talking to. And that's why I'm discussing it. I had to take the time. I used to fly with my hand not totally like this, but more like that when I was inverted. And I had to learn to inverted, keep that hand straight up and down. And as you see the way I hold it, my hand there's none of this to it. It's like that. I had to learn that. And I do fly competition, or I did. And I noticed that my scores picked up and I was flying better patterns by having learned that. Now, if I was just a sport flyer and that's all I wanted to be, I wouldn't worry about it. Not at all.
And like I said, ultimately, what that handle is a takeoff from is if you, and unfortunately, there's not any video footage of Gene Schaefer and Bob Lampione back in the early 60s, but their handle's pretty, and I just copied what they were doing.
Sure.
They were the tops of their class.
They were the guys back then. Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what, it depends on what angle you hold your arm at. So if that's neutral on your wrist, where you got the same up as you do down, so there's neutral. Now you get neutral way over here.
Yep.
It depends on how hard, where you fly with your hand in front of you. If it's a little bit up, a little bit down, that changes everything. That's why if I fly Samantha's airplane, it always seems like she has down in it, but she must hold her hand different.
Yes.
On this angle here is different to give her level.
Every person has a different level, a different neutral.
Right. And it's, people say bias handle and all that. I mean, if you had a bias handle that cranked it all the way down, now you're down. If you lift your arm up, now you're level again. If you lift it up more, now you're up. It doesn't matter where that, you fly where you got both the same amount of movement in your wrist.
The interesting thing about it is about arm positioning is that once I got into doing maneuvers and getting really comfortable with an airplane, my arm is like always straight out, and I'm painting. It's like I'm holding a brush, and I'm holding that brush, and I'm painting painting the maneuver. And I don't use wrist action. I don't hold my hand in here. My arm is out like this, and I'm following the airplane.
I think that's critical to follow the plane. Otherwise, you give it false input.
I tend to do that as well. Now, I watch guys like Paul Walker,
yes,
Ed Venture, Brett Buck, and those guys, Fitzgerald, fly, and they'll hold their hand. I don't know if you move back so you can see it. They'll hold their hand here close to their body, and they'll hold it like that. But they're doing this, but they take his other hand and they immobilize it, so they're not waving this hand out there, just distracting the judges. But then Paul Walker flies like this. He's got his arm straight out, and he's looking down those lines.
Yeah, it's like pointing a pistol grip, looking down at the sides of a pistol.
Yeah.
I think he even says that in his sub because he's kind of sighting. through his arm he's watching the plane at all times while the plane is doing.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So
And
there's,
start with his screaming technique.
this is Chris Rudd flying,
yeah, right in front of him, center mass.
just like Billy. Flies
Yep.
just like Billy, right there.
No.
Right in front of his face.
Typically, I will turn around. Like, let's say you're going into a wing over. I'm coming over this way. I will stop right here. I'll give it up and I'll let it go up over my head, down on this side, and then continue.
That's what his job is.
I do the same thing. I'll stop, bring it up over, and come over here and watch it, give it down, and come out inverted for the reverse.
I cannot do that. I'm a lefty.
Oh, you can do it. You bring it in. You have to.
That's funny.
You have to turn slightly. You gotta get rid of that stiffness in your body there.
A little bit at the hip.
Lefties have an advantage in a lot of maneuvers.
Not really. I don't think so.
I do.
We have advantages in a lot of maneuvers too, as right-handers too. So.
Yeah, but there are some maneuvers. A lefty's coming this way. He's naturally leading the airplane a little bit. And somebody explained the whole thing. I can't remember the whole thing. The upshot of the whole thing was that lefties can have some advantage. They have problems.
I'm not buying it. The righties have advantage on that one because if you fly the plane in level laps before the maneuver over your right shoulder, you can just stop here, bring the plane in front of you, do your maneuver. That's very easy. I have to fly like this over my shoulder, over there, stop and wait for the plane to come and do maneuvers.
Well,
and on a wing over, you guys also have it easy because you can come like this, the plane comes over, wing over. You don't have to move anything.
So
Hey,
I want very good left-handed. It's gotta be like this. Be like that.
I've watched some very good left-handed flyers fly, and they don't seem to be having any problem with it.
I don't see it's a problem. You just get used to it.
Yeah.
Ultimately, you can fly like Gene Schaefer did. You can fly clockwise. There's no rule against it.
Yeah, that might be the best thing if you're left-handed.
But right now, for me, it'll be just nightmare to change all of that stuff. So
I know one guy who's a right-hander, but he flies. This is up, and this is down.
Yeah, we all know that guy.
I think
You know that guy,
the name
Joe?
starts with
I know that guy. He's,
R and ends with Asti.
Yes, that's right. Rockin'.
What about me? I wasn't paying attention. Sorry.
John was talking about you.
Y'all still talking about handles? Y'all still talking about flying handles?
Up and that's
No,
down.
we're actually talking about flying.
That's
Up. Up,
That's
Also.
up, down.
or wait, let's see. I got to do it this way. I might have told you wrong.
It's a
That's up.
balsa.
That's down.
Oh,
So,
you're making down to the bottom of your hand.
Yeah.
No, this guy,
That's up, down.
he flies. This is up. The bottom of his hand pointing to the ground is up.
Yeah, but I can't fly with my hand in that position. This is up, down, and that's more
Yeah.
natural.
The guy I'm talking about can, and that's how he does it. He flies it
Really?
opposite.
That sounds awful hard to do with your hand held vertically to fly like that.
Gordon
I don't
has
know. I guess you get used to it.
Gordon has Jim Tickey built 2 Pathfinder LEs off the plans. He built the first one. He liked it so much he built the second one. Well, when he died, I forget whether he had a heart attack, what he had anyway, but he died. And Gordon wound up with his second Pathfinder LE. Trouble is that Jim Tickey flew this way, clockwise. And so that way will probably never fly because Gordon can't fly clockwise. Neither can I. We don't have anybody in our club that flies clockwise. So that plane is going to be brand new, never flown for its entire life.
Wow.
Jacobone Jacobone, he's not flying, I guess, now, but he used to fly clockwise.
So did Aldrich.
Yeah, Aldrich did. I think the Usama guy, didn't he fly clockwise too?
I don't know too much on him, but I know Well, a guy from Oregon, real good builder. I can't think of his name now. He flies clockwise.
They were talking about, I was reading something, or it was on a video, about some big time flyer flew clockwise and he had a problem with his plane, so he borrowed his buddies and flew it in the contest
Upside down.
counterclockwise. It ended up taking second.
Well, the trick with that is to take it off clockwise, give it up, bring it over, fly it inverted. Now you fly it just you hold the handle upside down and you fly it just like it was, a regular airplane.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
But
so you do the pattern, but kind of like backwards from what you think the airplane should be doing.
you should try judging somebody. That looks good, Trent. You should try judging somebody. You're judging all day long, and the guy's flying counterclockwise, and you get some guy flying the other way. As a
Your
judge,
brain is twisted.
Actually, Gene Schaefer said he probably won more contests because he blew the judge's mind because he was going in the other direction.
Yeah.
So what I wanted to show you guys earlier, I made the mold. It's just a piece of balsa and a round rod that I got from Home Depot. And I'm holding it with some masking tape all the way around. So I made like a quick and dirty mold. And then I molded the balsa with Ace Bandit like you normally do. And over here, I just put a razor blade on the top of a block. So if you hold this flat on the top of the table and you walk this around, you just cut it perfectly at the same height.
Oh, that's cool.
And actually, this is what I'm going to use for the leading edge on this elevator.
Cool.
Is it pointed or is it round?
It's round.
Okay.
Oh, I don't know if any of you guys seen shit, I don't think of his name.
Here you go.
Dan Banjock's handle. You wind it up, and then you start flying, and you hit a button, and it'll turn it over for your inverted, so it's still upright, and you hit it again, and it'll flip around.
Yeah.
Oh, and you have to load it up.
Yeah.
Well,
you wind it up though before you fly.
Yeah.
That was actually a production handle. You could buy that thing. It's an easy inverted handle or something they call it.
That's weird.
So what
okay. Who here has ever owned a U-Wheelie?
Well,
I've got
nobody.
I've got a clock version.
How do you really?
I had one, but I threw it away because it was all cracked and stuff.
I think Dennis has one.
What you got,
I've
Trey?
never flown with it. I've flown with it.
Oh, I just want to show you what I've got so far, on this thing. So I made these guys, like I showed you, and now if you put them like this, they have the proper fit.
Yeah.
And what I've done with this, as you can see, I want to get some torsional rigidity as well. I don't want it to twist at all. So I put some unidirectional on top and the bottom of these guys as well. So this should be very, very rigid, very stiff.
It looks like that half-A free flight I got.
Yeah, if you put sheeting over the top.
Right now, what I'm gonna do?
Surface, otherwise you have to sand that.
Yeah. So what happens? This carbon fiber, it's actually is not glued in there yet. It's just being held by the 3M77 because I just did a quick and dirty. So I'm going to fit this on top of it like this. And when I'm going to glue this, and can you see that? I'm not sure if you can see it. Can you see the carbon fiber down in there?
Yeah.
When I put the thin CA in here, it's going to harden the carbon fiber and stick it to everything.
Right.
And it's going to be like a sandwich in between. This thing is going to be solid.
I do something similar to what you did for your leading edge on the leading edge of my wing. I bought myself a couple. Those airfoil shaped balsa they got in the bin at the hobby store there. They're like,
good luck finding it anymore.
Oh, they're still there.
Oh.
I got a couple of those and I wrap saran wrap around it, and then it takes 1.5 inches of balsa. I'll wet it, wrap it around, use the bandage on it, and when I get done, I've got a molded leading edge that's in the shape of a leading edge. And
That's
even
what I
if
just, that's
even if
what I just showed. This
just
is
like
my mold. It's a piece of 4-inch balsa
yep,
with a round rod to it
right,
and masking tape. That's
right.
all. It's as simple as that. And
Well,
like you say, like with Ace Band-Aids and
yep,
get it
yep.
soaking wet, done. You make
It's
this
very
every time.
simple. What I do is very simple, like what you do. But what happens is when I put it on there, there's enough movement or allowed in that I can handle a thick or a thin wing. It just slips it on there. Uh, very light leading edge and very nicely shaped and formed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Hey, Tom.
And here you go.
Show us
Yep.
that you can handle.
Okay, so how much
I mean,
traffic
you had to know we were going to talk about one. You just got to run and get it.
I mean, are you doing the Tappan Zee Bridge or the George Washington Bridge or the Skyway? I would just rather pay Bob Hunt to make my wings or my my leading edges and stuff like that. It's like, for me, as far as I'm concerned, it's if I have to build an airplane to build the parts to an airplane, I would just rather pay somebody else to do that for me.
Well, that's certainly your it's up to you. I like building those parts when the goal is a lightweight, lighter weight and stronger finished product. And so for me, it becomes part of the building process. But we're all different. We all like to do things our way, and that's fine.
Yeah.
No, I've never bought an ARF. I've never bought an almost ready cover. I've built all my kits, but you get to a certain point where there are I do not want. Certain people get the enjoyment of building the fixtures to build their airplanes or building the fixtures to build their motors.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm not at that.
Well, absolutely. Yes, absolutely. You have people that love to build, people that don't trust anybody else build. You have people that, from all kinds of different backgrounds. Yes. But that's why I don't I don't really agree with the builder of the model rule, because, just have a competition of the builder competition if you want to have that, just, and everybody else be everybody else,
Well, I always said,
be yourself.
You have a builder's competition, you have a flying competition, and you add the two scores together, and whoever gets the top score gets the Walker Cup. And that's called the overall model.
I don't disagree with your concept there, Steve. We got to do something. I understand why. There's the only place the builder model comes in is in one contest a year.
Yeah.
That's at the Nats. That's when you're flying open, and that's probably the only contest in the country that flies open, because it's just skill classes are much more attractive to people, and in skill classes you don't have to have builder the model to fly your airplane or to compete. Anyway,
I'll say that Samantha can get better scores with an ARF than a model she builds.
Well, that's probably true, because
it's 100% true. It's like all the models that she's taken to the Nat never flew worth a shit. We always had guys trying to trim them out, making them fly better, all this. They didn't fly good, but one thing she can say is she built the airplane. Yep. I would not build it for her. And she built it. She can't build like Sparky. She can't build like these other guys. Her airplanes did not fly well.
The thing with the at the Nats, you're looking for the model or the champion stunt flyer, and it just so happens that you have to build your own. It's like playing golf, and you have to build your own golf club.
Yeah, right.
The thing is, to get the overall, be known as the overall champion stunt flyer in the country, you have to build your own model. But there's only one contest a year that's true.
No, not really, because Brodak, they have appearance points there.
Yeah, but they don't say you can't fly.
Right, but you can't win without the appearance points.
I've seen guys can, but I mean,
I've never seen anybody win the Open or the top expert that didn't build his own airplane.
Well, that's probably true, because the top experts are the same guys that are flying Open, and they're the guys that. The part of learning how to be a stunt champion is learning how to build a straight airplane and learning how to trim an airplane to get the most out of it. And that's why they hang on to the builder of the model. Now, frankly, I wouldn't be too upset if they went to FAI here in the country. It wouldn't bother me. But
at Brodak, they let Samantha fly in advance. She got no appearance points. She took fourth. She beat everybody but the first place guy, and that guy would have beat her by 1 point.
I built my own
third, did not outfly her.
Yep.
But they got second and third.
I built a model, went to a contest, and it was by that time it was pretty well beat, and I got I think 8 appearance points. But I think I would have got more, but I just bought the box that it came in. But nonetheless, I flew. I placed second in the contest with it. It can be done, but you gotta. It's far easier, as you said. It's far easier if you built the model and you can get the appearance points. It's far easier to do a better job. But if you choose to fly an ARF or not an ARF or somebody else's airplane, you've got to do like, okay, Bob Hunt, I was asking about it. What happens when you go from one set of judges to another set of judges, different contests now, and why the big discrepancy sometimes between the scores, and why is it that if you're flying intermediate, you're not going to get more than 26, 27 points for a maneuver, no matter how good you do it.
Yeah.
And if you're advanced, you might get 30, 32, 33 points for a perfect maneuver that somebody flying expert would have gotten much more higher points. And Bob said that's just the way it is. What I had to learn to do and what I was told to do is I'm tell you this is what you have to do. You get out there and you practice and you learn to fly that airplane and you fly it so well they cannot deny you.
Yeah.
And so that's really, if you don't want to take advantage of the builder of the model thing, get out there and practice and learn to fly that thing better than anybody else. You can win without the appearance point. It's not easy. It's not going to be easy, but it can be done. You got to fly.
Hey,
okay, so if you're building an ARF, you don't necessarily have to build an ARF. Have her put together. You go one step backwards. Build an almost ready to cover. That's, I don't know if that makes the builder of model rule, because
no, not no more.
Not anymore.
No.
Hey, Peter.
Yes.
You kicked me out. You ejected me from the Jitsi meeting.
How the hell did I do that?
You see the 3 dots. Is my little film strip picture gone? Is it still there?
Yeah, you're still there. It says CC. No, that's Charles Carter. And somebody says fellow gist or whoever that is.
There's one black box, and then you're in now. You got 2 of them going.
Okay. Is there 3 dots you can click in there that will?
Everybody's got 3 dots.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
Mute, make it, kick out, or send private message.
Yeah, the one in my little picture box. Click the 3 dots in my little picture box.
Yeah, that's what I just read off to you. Mute.
Let me talk to him, Steve. Just hang on a minute. Excuse me.
Is he frozen? No, he's not. Okay.
You talking about the three dots on the upper right-hand corner, Rusty?
Yeah.
In my picture box. I'm not sure where in the picture box they are.
Yeah, it's in the top
Okay.
right-hand corner. And I'm on it right
Yeah.
now, and I can read what it says to you. It says mute everyone else, kick out, send private message.
Yeah, maybe Peters has one that says to let me back in, because it said a message came up that said Peter kicked me out.
Oh, gee. Right now, your connection says it's poor.
Well, it's always poor. Does it say anything about letting me back in?
You're in, as far as we
No,
can
I'm
see.
not. I'm out of the meeting.
It doesn't.
We see.
You're in the meeting.
I can see you. I can hear you. How can you be out of the meeting?
Well,
I'm on my phone right now.
Phone.
Yeah, but we
Okay,
still see you though.
You see a black Peter?
Yeah, but
do
I
you
can't
see a black
control.
box there. It's just black. It says fellow gister.
I don't see anything that says unkick you. It just has the kick out, and it looks like there's nothing to let you back in.
Well, there's
Even
something
on
that says
even on
invite
Peter.
people.
On Peter, let's see what Peter says.
Go to the black box, Peter. It's just black.
It has mute everyone else, kick out, send private message. That's it.
Yeah, the only thing I see here is invite people.
Well, go to the one on the upper right-hand corner.
Yeah, that's I'm going to that one. It says mute everyone else, kick out, or send private message. So
Yeah, that's
I can kick
Okay.
them out again.
Now,
Let's try it and
are
see.
you doing it
See
on
what
the
happens.
black box, Peter, or
Try
are you
again?
doing it on his picture?
He's doing on the
No, he said try and kick him out again. Boom. Kick. He's gone.
No, you did it on his picture. There's a black box on there with nobody on there.
It
Can you
says
see
No,
that?
I don't see that.
Gister.
That I don't see. All I see is CC Charles Carter, fellow gister.
Yeah,
That's
fellow
the one.
gister. That's the one that you got to let him back in on.
No, I don't see a way of letting him back in.
Then go back to the three buttons on the black one, the black
Yes.
screen.
Yeah, it says mute everyone else, kick out, send private message.
hit the kick out.
Hit the kick out on that one.
Oh, that's Steve.
Well, that's Mike.
That's
Oh,
Mike.
that's Mike. Hold on a
There you
minute.
go. All right, so he's out. Mike is back.
No, you just kicked him out.
No, I kicked Rusty out.
Someone just kicked Mike out.
No, Mike's
So,
there.
there's Mike.
Turned my camera and my microphone off. Nobody kicked me out. I'm doing some other work and watching and listening.
Hey, Mike.
Oh, I see. He just doesn't have his name up there.
So now Rusty's kicked out both on his computer and on his phone. So he can't get back in now.
Charles, is there any way when you got control, can you let Rusty back in?
I don't know if I have control or not.
Let me see.
I'll be right back. I can get me something to drink.
All I can do is invite somebody back in. I have no
Try
idea
that.
who to invite. Where Rusty? Rusty.
In the wind, and it did not hurt her hand.
Streaming is on.
Hey, live streaming back.
Yeah, we're live streaming. again.
Finally.
I
Didn't
see
think
what
I
you're
was
saying,
ever
Steve.
going to get that.
I mean,
Bet everybody's left
I'm
now.
taking it as a compliment, I guess.
Pardon me? Trying.
Let's see. Oh, we got 2 viewers right now. I know Dennis B is out there, and I think
Live
it's
streaming is on.
now it's on my machine. So, okay, now they ought to be able to see it. Maybe we'll get them back. Man, what a pain in the butt.
Hey, there's the
That's
Yeah.
the tsunami.
Yep. The day that I was at the field, I think Vic no, it wasn't Vic Macaluso. Somebody it was there was Windy. Windy was flying the Strega where he pancaked it, and somebody else was flying this particular tsunami at that's Flushing Meadow Park, and I may be the plane that's in front of it, right in the corner. You can only see the tail. May have been the Strega at the time, and everybody was saying the tsunami flew great, and that's a windy airplane, but the Strega was not getting any points that day.
Yeah, I guess. Win some, lose some.
Yeah.
You can't be always right.
Yeah. Sometimes different airplanes fly different. And I can't think. It's a classic airplane. RSM makes it. The thing has a huge wingspan on it and stuff. Dick's got one, and that's like the worst airplane in dead air. It has such weight turbulence that I thought a couple times that airplane was, it looked like a flapping duck, and it would just head to the ground, and all of a sudden it took off again. But yeah, he's got to be real careful. Now, he said in windy weather, it doesn't give him any problems and stuff. But dead air, that airplane does not like dead air for some reason. I don't know if it's because of the straight wing on it, how big the wing is, how big the flaps are. You know, I don't know how much it must make a lot of turbulence when you turn the corners with it.
I don't know. I think thick airfoils like to create a lot of wake. Thin airfoil is something that's very thin, cuts through the air, and it's very efficient. Almost doesn't leave anything behind it.
So the Strega has a 3-inch airfoil at the root. That's probably part of the problem.
Yeah,
it's a possibility.
That and the Strega is built like a tank.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're bursting Charles's bubble.
Well, there's about.
Oh, no, you guys aren't busting my bubble. I mean, I flew Sparky's plane out. It's probably one of the best planes I've ever flown. And it flies better than my Strega, but my Strega does fly pretty good. I've done pretty well with it. If I had appearance points, I'd probably have higher points too. So, but here in the state, we have some pretty good pilots, and I've done okay with it. I got 3rd place with it.
No, the Strega is a great airplane. I mean, it's got a thick airfoil, and everybody gives that a hard time. But okay, well, whatever. That's not a big deal. It's got a whole lot of wood in it that if you're not a really meticulous builder, that thing's going to come out like the weight of your truck. And
yeah, but you guys got to also consider, not that having flying a really heavy plane is beneficial in any means. I don't mean it is. It's not. But I'm actually, I'm only 5'5". I'm 220, 225. So, I'm just like the guys playing on Sunday mornings playing football. I can handle a big, heavy plane like that. It doesn't. I think. But some people who's lighter and weaker, it is an issue. But for me being short, low center of gravity, and very strong, it's okay by me. The plane, it doesn't even feel. My Strega with an 81, it feels very comfortable. I can't emphasize how comfortable it feels, even in wind. Because when that Strega is flying with that stalker, even when it's blowing wind, that plane doesn't speed up. That stalker somehow holds the plane back and doesn't speed up. So it's where other planes are getting faster and they feel a stronger pull. Not so much with my Strega and the Stalker 81.
That's cool. Oh, that airplane that Dick has that's so bad in dead air is a Gladiator.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if, that was inherent with that. So, besides that, though, that thing really flies well. It's just dead. When it's dead calm, you don't want to fly that airplane for some reason.
Hey, I got something to discuss for a moment. Biplanes. You hear read the discussion on the 38 special. Guys talking about the lousy glide it has, and biplanes have got more drag, and they do,
Yep.
but they're I built and flew Jack Sheik's stagger wing bike, and that thing had an excellent glide on it. Actually flew quite well. The bike that I designed, I'm still working on some other bugs on it, but it has a glide. It's got high aspect ratio wings, thin airfoils, thinner airfoils. The combination of the two airfoils probably gives me about a 2¼ inch total airfoil thickness that it's looking at. But the wings are, they're long and skinny, which is anyway. But it glides very well. I'm wondering, what do you think the cause of the problem with the 38 Special? Why they're having problems with it gliding? Because I've seen that in biplanes. That motor quits off, and you better be looking to land it quickly because it's going to fall out of the air.
Sounds nose heavy to me. Usually a nose heavy airplane does that.
I think you're right.
I think there's
the glide path has nothing to do with the CG plates. It's just all aerodynamics. I don't know.
A friend of mine had a Johnny Casburn misbehave, and he was beautifully built. He's flying it in classic, and Ted Fancher was sitting there watching him, and he had it it didn't go through the pattern quite well, but he had some problems. And one of the problems he had is it didn't glide very well. It was nose heavy. Ted Fancher looked at it, picked it up, and says, "You need to take some weight off the nose or put some on the tail." He did that, and that cured the problem of it, not gliding well.
Okay.
Usually on my first trim flight, that's something I check is when the engine shuts off, does the plane just keep going straight or does it sink or rise?
Yep. Now, if it sinks, what's the problem? It's nose heavy.
Nose heavy.
If it rises, what's the problem?
Tail drops. Yeah, tail heavy.
Yeah. There. Know another way you can tell whether it's nose heavy or tail heavy is as you fly in your loop.
I find it hunts really bad with the heavy tail.
Yeah. If you fly in your loops, if it wants to tighten up on you, that's because it's throwing the tail out.
Oh yeah.
If it wants to open up on you, it's throwing the nose out. So when you trim it, get it trimmed to where it does nice consecutive loops, you've got it to where it probably CG is as close as you can get it.
Yeah, I guess you're right. That's a good point.
What causes is it the flyer if you get a nice loop, but on the way down it starts to tighten?
I've always thought that it's just turning quicker when it does that. So I try to adjust the push rod, which changes the flap to elevator.
Steve, it's speeding up on the downline.
Yeah.
It's going up. It's slowing down. Up here,
Getting more lift.
Up here now, it starts to speed up, and that wants. So how do you cure that? It's in your engine running your prop. That's why electrics and pipe ships have an advantage in the pattern because their engines are regulated. The pipe ship, the engine is regulated on a electric. The motor is regulated also.
There's not as much of a speed up.
That's what a properly tuned 4.2 brake was far back in the day.
That's right. 4.2 brake, get there, she'd be fat. She'd come down and then and she'd break down here at the bottom.
You'd have much softer, a softer end.
Yeah. So that's what's happening. Is it's speeding up because you're not regulated right. You got the wrong prop, wrong speed, something you need to look at.
Okay.
We used to
I
call it.
have a good friend, Norm Whittle, who's really a good pilot. Very he grew up with Jim Mayfield, all that bunch out on the West Coast. Norm Whittle was flying pipe ships on his Sultans, and the Sultan is a very good design. Norm was a good designer, and when Norm built one and put an electric in it and went out and flew it, within 2 weeks he put up all of his piped engines, sold them all, and hasn't looked back. As far as we haven't been flying much stunt, he's flying RC some, but he liked the regulation he's getting from electric so much. It was so much easier and repeatable that he got rid of his IC engines and went all electric.
There was a guy on Facebook that just crashed his plane. It's an IC plane, and the motor quit wherever it was the worst place possible. A new plane, a Vector.
Yep.
There was another guy that we had like we got the club together and flew here in Georgia, and the guy had a plane and tried a little bit faster, a little bit slower, stuff like that. He couldn't get an engine run out of it all day long.
Yep.
And I'm looking at all this stuff, and I know it's room for everybody, and whatever you like, you like. I don't say no. You like IC, fine. If it works good for you, just stay with it, just fine. But if it's not working for you, why continue the insanity? Just because you like the noise or whatever, it's kind of silly. It's used to like something like that because of the noise.
When I found the stalkers, I was an old 424 brake guy. I learned to fly pattern in 1955, 56, somewhere there, and that was all 424 brake, and I love the sound of a 424 brake in the pattern. The best 424 type of an engine, and not really so much a 4.2. It's just an IC engine with a baffle piston in it. Is, in my opinion, as a Stalker and the Discovery retros. They are right at they're the Ferrari of their day, of their time. If you like that kind of a run, the nice thing I've found with the Stalkers is that they run they have a repeatable run. They run when you get them set, they run pretty much the same every time. That's the thing you need with a power plant. When you get to a piped setup, they get them set up. They run pretty much the same every time. They're running faster. They're running lower pitch props. They're getting the regulation off the pipe. When you run electric, you go up in pitch. Believe it or not. Because you can control the electric motor. Is this not right, Tran?
Yeah, it's more efficient at low RPM anyways.
There you go. So now...
Electric has maximum efficiency at 0 RPM.
There you go. So there's advantage in all three systems. When I fly an IC, I'm stuck with my Stalkers. I've got other engines and I fly them as well. The best 424 brake engine I have is a McCoy Redhead and an OS 35S that was touched by Tom Lay. But
you have to know what to do. Now what happens if you go to a higher altitude or a lower altitude?
Well, I'm at 6,000 feet already, so I fly and trim everything. What I have to do, my plane flies better at lower altitude, except I burn more fuel, so I have to make sure I have enough fuel capacity in my tank.
Yeah, I mean, and you also look at the nets. People go with the nets and have those pipe setups, right? And they're beautiful. They run great, right? But they had to spend time over there to get them to run right. And you have to know what you're doing. With electric, you can get a baby and still gonna get it run right.
Yep, that's right. That's a big advantage with electric. I won't deny it. I'm just making the point that if you like an IC engine, get a good one.
Of course,
get a good one. Pay the extra buck. I happen to like Stalkers. Jeff likes Foxes. I like OS. Super Tigers are great. Get a good one you know how to run, one you know how to make it perform the way you want, and have fun with it.
Hey, John, have you ever tried a stalker on a pipe?
People have tried it, but it's not really designed as a pipe engine.
Yeah, I'm gonna try that. I actually have a broken muffler, so the stack on the rear exhaust muffler. John, you familiar with that? So I'm just gonna connect this silicone hose to it to a tuned pipe. I'm gonna try it, but not like right away. But I'm curious because
we got a point set up right now with but it's the long stroke 61. And that motor kind of ran away a little bit. We couldn't get it to run like the 51 and the 47 or the big 80, whatever. So we're going to try to put that long stroke on a pipe and see if that'll calm down it, running away a little bit on the bottom.
What do you got for a prop on it?
We tried all kinds of different props on that thing.
You see, Steve, this is exactly what I'm talking about. If you don't know what you're doing, you don't have the recipe how to make the engine run perfectly, the right fuel, the right plug, the right everything right, and you don't know, you start beating around the bushes, by now you'll be flying the plane and putting 50 pounds on a damn plane by now.
Trayan is right in a purely competitive sense.
How easy is that? It's easy. Easy is good.
But what we're talking about, there are people that like IC, and there are people that like a 424 Drake.
Well, we're just doing it because everybody here is flying Stalkers. They love them. If they're an IC, they're flying Stalkers. But this one does not, this long stroke does not run like the other Stalkers for some reason.
I think it was designed to run a 222.
Yep.
Yep. And we tried a different head on it and stuff like that. And that helps some. But I'm wondering with this 222 thing if that pipe may not help it. Well, we're going to find out. It may not. And, I bought it from somebody who didn't like it. It's like brand new. I may sell it to somebody else because I don't like it.
Well, try. You want to be running about between 86 and 9600 RPM. You want to figure your forward speed. You want some certain type of lap speed. You need to figure in a little bit of slippage for the prop in the air. Yeah, I know, Trey, and I know, but figure it out. Prop it so that you can run, say, 9600 RPM, because I think that's what it wants. And run it there and prop it to run there at the lap speed you want and see what happens. I don't think you need a pipe. I think you need to get the RPM up a bit and keep your lap speed where you want it. That engine, if I remember correctly, that engine was advertised as a 222 engine. I've got the older one like that. That's a 2.4 engine. It has a blue head on it and all of that.
Yeah.
That engine runs really nice. Stalkers and Discovery Retros, in my opinion, are the top of the heap for that type of engine run.
Well, I know that a lot of people didn't like it because they quit making it.
Yeah.
And I have it, so I'm like, I have it. We're gonna play around with it, see if the pipe works, it works. If it doesn't,
Hey, have fun.
yeah.
That's all part of the hobby, isn't it?
Yeah, it
Yeah.
is. I think so.
It's
That's
not.
what I got into it for.
Yeah, it's not on no special. I think we put. I'm trying to remember what damn airplane. Oh, I know. We got an old heavy SV-22. The thing is heavy and all that kind of shit. So that airplane ain't gonna fly. You know, we've tried different motors on it. It's just it weighs too much. It's 70 ounces or 71 for that wing area. It's too much. And we're gonna try this. See how the motor does anyway.
Yeah.
But it might have been why it ran away too, was because the damn airplane's so heavy on the way down. It just gravity is affecting it.
Well, see, flatter pitch prop would help on the down line, but then you have to crank the engine up. I don't know what you're running for fuel. You know, I run FAI at 17-18% on all of my stalkers. Now, the Ruslan, the owner, the guy that owns Stalker, says you can run a small percentage of caster. I don't run it because I've seen guys that do it. I've seen their engines, and you have to decoke them. They get burned caster on the piston and all that. And my engines are clean. Now all of this I'm talking about because I love running those engines. I love the sound they make, but I also realize that to be really competitive at the top levels, which I may be too old for now, you better be running a pipe. But as Brett Buck says, get started on electric, because we're all going to be there soon, because there's that much. He basically refers that they're that much more superior and easier to run and operate. So if you're serious about trying to win trophies, you're going to eventually be running electric. If you're just having fun and enjoy it, the hobby, and you'll take what you can get, play with the engines and the motors that you like.
Well, that's why I say I got a bench, like a bench run my motors.
Yeah.
Take it outside. I run motors just to run them because I like to run motors. I've always been a motorhead.
Sure.
You know
that a motor is an electric.
A few years ago, we went over and started my brother's car, his 442.
Yeah.
Just to hear the cam in it and shit.
Yeah.
You put it on the road, but we backed it up and down the driveway and shit. You know, it made us feel good. And then I went home.
You know this one is coming. How'd you go again?
Oh yeah, man! I used to do burnouts in my mom's driveway all the time.
Burnouts in your mom's driveway.
You know, that the proper terminology is an internal combustion engine is an engine.
The engine.
An electric engine is not an engine; it's a motor, electric motor.
Yeah.
So when you're, I know
we've always called them motors. I mean,
I know
we call different car engines motors too. Like there's a 427 Chevy we call it a rat motor. That's a big, strong engine.
General Motors. You know what the heck?
Yeah. It's interchangeable, as much as people hate to admit it. And I interchange it too.
That's an Oldsmobile 442, I think.
Yes,
Hey, motor.
We could have called ourselves engine heads back in the day in the 70s, but we were all known as motorheads.
Yeah.
Motor comes from the word motive, like motive force.
Yep.
And so anything that moves something has motive force and can therefore be described as a motor.
Yep.
In my
I was just pointing out just for fun and giggles.
Well, yeah,
I do regret selling that car.
I've heard of rocket motors.
Yeah.
That's definitely got motive force.
And I've also heard them called engines.
Yeah, rocket engines too. Yeah, and they don't got no pistons in them.
No, you don't necessarily.
No, they got turbines and bearings and all kinds of other stuff.
So that's why
turbines,
I always say
valves.
a gas motor is, or an electric motor. I don't, engine. I can say,
Well, I was just pointing it out to be
yeah.
facetious. I wasn't, it was just for fun. I call them motors too, car engines motors too at times. I catch myself doing that.
As I posted on Stunt Hangar, there was a question about, well, I forget what it was, about batteries or something along those lines. And fossil fuels have something like 20,000 energy units per gram versus 200 versus 200 on a lithium ion battery. So you can't beat 20 million years of stored energy of fossil fuels.
But you're right. But it's like I think it was Brett that answered you, and he said,
Yes.
the point is that the electric has plenty of fuel for what we need it for.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, but you're absolutely right. I can't put the picture up on it, but I got to tell you about the hot car. The really hot car I ever owned was a Buick Regal, 1974, black with chrome, black on black and chrome. It had a 455 in it. That's anything on
Yeah,
a road
like
to
in
the gas station.
John,
Buick
I had
is
a
wildly underrated when it comes to powerful engines. They pioneered some of this real muscle car stuff. That Wildcat, my friend had a big old yellow Wildcat, and that thing had a 455 in it, and it would go bumper to bumper with my '69 Chevelle SS 396, which was a lot lighter car. I must have weighed 1,000 pounds less than that Wildcat.
Yeah.
Hold on, I go let my dog. I'll be right back.
That Regal that I had would on the highway with the air conditioner going would get 19 miles to the gallon.
I watch the gas gauge go down.
Well, if I put my foot into the secondaries on the carburetor, yeah, I could watch it go down. But if you kept it on the primaries, it actually would get some gas
That's a
miles.
beautiful Camaro.
That was.
Mm-hmm.
Whose was it? Is that yours, Tom?
Yeah, that was mine. Here's my other one, a Z28.
Who's Camaro?
Was that a
The blue,
71?
the blue one's a 73 Z28, and the red one's a
73.
2015 Camaro. I
I
still own both of them.
I had a 72 El Camino SS. I
I had
love
the
Oh, I love
same
El
car.
Caminos.
I had a
What year?
74.
I had one of those
I
too.
always wanted a '69 El Camino SS.
Yeah, me too.
They're great little pickups. I used to call it a gentleman's pickup. Man, and they were light enough, they'd go pretty good.
I used to call mine a hot rod with a truck bed on it.
Yeah. I've had 4 El Caminos in my life. Well,
I've had
3 of
two.
them.
That's
And one
something I've
Buick.
always wanted and never had.
Here's one for you, John. I had a 65 Buick Skylark with a 500-inch iron block aluminum head Chevy in it.
Holy smokes.
We were making 900 horse on the bottle.
Holy smokes.
With a big 4-inch belt turning on the front.
What did you say cubic inches was?
500. Okay, I'm lying. It was a 498 cubic inch big block Chevy.
Oh, it was bored and stroke.
It was humongously bored and stroked, had aluminum heads on it.
How long did a set of tires last on the rear?
Oh, about a half a mile.
Yeah.
That's about right, yeah.
You had to push it to the next gas station. Yeah, I think we trailered it everywhere we went. 1965 Buick Skylark on a trailer behind a 72 El Camino. And we'd back it off We would push it off the trailer.
Wow, where is
We couldn't afford the gas. It had a little 5-gallon spun tank on the front bumper, and it sat like that. It was a total gasser. Put a solid axle under the front. We shit can the A-arms and put leaves under the front, just to make it as light as possible.
I had a buddy who had a 400 in an old Nova. He had a 400 small block.
Yeah, those are good motors.
Those make good racing engines.
Oh my God! It had a 2-speed transmission in it.
Power glide.
We'd waste people that had 454s and all this kind of stuff. That car was so light that it just tore everybody up. It was like, wow. But it was the square Nova. It wasn't the.
There was a 64 or 65.
Yeah, it was the boxy Nova.
67.
66,
67 was the boxy ones.
Oh, that's the boxy one?
That was my first car, a 67 Nova Super Sport with a 283 and a power glide.
66 Nova
2-speed power glide.
Oh, okay, yeah, this was one of them, but I had a 400.
69 Elko.
I guess was ordered in there. I didn't, I know back then you could order just about anything you wanted.
Oh, that's a nice looking 74.
That's a 9.
Yeah, that was mine.
Yeah, I had one of those. I also had, you know what a GMC Sprint is?
Yeah.
I had one of the best time I ever had with that GMC Sprint. My brother-in-law and my sister were moving up from California up to Utah, and he had a really hot Mustang, and he blew something in that engine at Baker, and I had to go down and pick him. So I took the Chevy Sprint down and stopped. I went down to Vegas and rented a setup where I could put his front wheels up on it, and I towed him back up to Salt Lake. I had more guys in Chevys going by giving me a thumbs up as I went by. I was towing that Mustang up the road.
Yeah, right. Yeah. That's another car I wish I didn't sell.
Your Mustang? Or the
no, my El Camino.
Yeah. I'd love to have another one.
That Elko we were just looking at was a 74, is that right?
Yeah.
That's correct. Yeah, it was a 74.
That was the 74 was
building
the
right now. It's so stiff.
How much is it
74
weighing
the
now,
worst
Grant?
engine year. Is
Right
that
now?
right?
Yeah, I had that 72, and if you count the Sprint as an El Camino, I had 3 74s, and I'd love to get another one. How much?
24 grams.
Not even an ounce. You'll probably be about an ounce when you're done.
Yeah, I mean, I still have to put a few more ribs, and it's gonna be sanded off and flattened up and stuff like that. So it's gonna lose some.
Yeah,
and then the tips.
But the stiffness of it this is very stiff. I mean, if you try to do torsional right now, it's very rigid. It's fighting me back. This is the side that's the somewhat finished, and this is stiff. It's not gonna do this in flight.
Yeah, I like that a lot. Thanks for the tip. I think I'll build my next one that way.
Hey guys, I gotta get. It's getting late. We'll see you all on Monday.
So what happens?
Steve, you have a good night.
Yeah.
What happens?
Steve, you done good.
Did
All
I
right,
do
Steve.
good? I think I'm only into for 50
Have a
cents.
good weekend.
Yep.
So what happens is you think if you in flight, you give it control, it's gonna do this number, right?
Yep.
Kind of like that. But actually in flight, what happens is this.
Yeah.
And your tip doesn't turn. Now, if it's very stiff, then it's gonna do this, right? What happens sometimes is that if one flap is stiffer than the other one, what's gonna do? It's gonna do this, or it's gonna do this, you know?
Yeah.
So they both move the same amount here, but the tip is gonna move a little bit or a little bit more. So depending however it feels like going, in a windy situation, we have a lot of pressure and it's gonna twist more or twist less, and it's just a ghost that you're hunting over there and you don't know what the heck is going on with the plane. So I think that's one of the big deals with current designs. You know,
And you need to do the same thing on your flaps as well in the elevators, don't you?
what I plan to use for that is I have a round tube, a 6 millimeter tube, and I'm going to put that on the leading edge. It's carbon fiber tube.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm
Good
going to
idea.
go around it in the front and the back. But the tube is so stiff torsionally, it basically takes the torsion out of it completely.
But wouldn't it be good to have that carbon fiber unidirectional at the tips, and like you, on a buildup like you did on that, so that you don't get any flex at all out towards the trailing edge?
Actually, you don't really need that because the trailing edge of the stabilizer or trailing edge of the wing takes care of that.
Okay. Yeah, but I'm talking about the trailing edge of the elevator itself. As it's
No, because
hanging.
the tube in the front takes care of the torsional. Now, you know, trailing edge can put anything. It's not going to torsion.
It's not going to.
Not going
And
to
the
do it.
same thing on the flaps, huh?
Yep. Yep.
Okay.
I mean, if you could take a flat piece, put a hole through it, right? And
Yeah.
you draw two lines. Let's put the 6 millimeter holes. You draw two lines and make a bunch of them, right? And then you can put your tube down and put them over there, boom, 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 on a line, and then put the trailing edge in position in a proper height. Sand it off to the leading edge, to the tube and the trailing edge. I think that's going to be stiff enough, and a lot of gliders are using that technology.
Uh-huh.
Especially the gliders like the Ava, which is like a built-up wing. But for spar, they use, I think they use in a spar something, but the flaps is built with a tube in the leading edge.
Well, I hope you'll build the flap or the elevator on one of these meetings we have so we can see how you're doing it.
Sure. Sure. Well, I mean, we can make it so I can make one up next time we meet.
That'd be good. I'd like to see how you do it, just so I make sure I got it in my mind what you're doing and I don't have any misconceptions going on in there.
Yeah. A lot of people are afraid to cut into the tube to put the hinge in there. But if you glue it properly, it shouldn't be a problem. You don't lose a whole lot in that cut.
What do you use for hinges?
Kevlar.
And that would be just like a piece of tape that just bends in the middle?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Fabric.
It's a fabric. Yeah.
Well, I know what
the more
Kevlar is.
you use it, the looser it gets.
I know what Kevlar is. I worked with water skis for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
The snow skis and water skis, they all use Kevlar, carbon fiber.
Yeah.
I know all that stuff works, but after if you take a while and you bend it back and forth, especially if there's any resin in there, it's gonna like fatigue and weaken.
Not the Kevlar. Not the Kevlar. You have a perfectly valid point, but actually, what happens over there is the Kevlar doesn't break. What breaks is the resin inside there in that area. And the more resin you break and it exits that area, the more free Kevlar you have. And then the Kevlar will last longer and it's going to move more freely in time. It's going to it just gets better and better in time.
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing you install that and that. I like the idea. I'm one that has been using cloth hinges a lot lately, and you know I like them. They work, but I like the concept of the Kevlar the way you're using it. So I'd like to see that when you get ready to do that too.
Here's an idea for you, John. And I've only tried this on my smaller planes. is what I do is, you know that Dacron that they give you that comes in a spool with a little Cox airplanes? It's the flight
Yeah.
line.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Sewing them on.
I use
So
that
I'm
as
on.
thread, and I figure eight sew them. Kind of like the old combat ships, but
That's
with
what I
one
use
light
for
thread.
hinging. I like that for
Yeah,
hinges.
I just don't. I know it works, and I know they're free and all of that, but I don't like the looks of them on a stunt ship.
Yes, I don't like it too either.
You're definitely going to lose 2, 3, 4 appearance points right off the bat if you
Really,
do
even
that.
if they're buried?
Huh? If you
Even
can
if they're
bury them so they can't tell they're there, then you'll be all right. But if you can't, if they can see them there, uh, I can do a better for me because I can do a better job with over under hinges the way
Yeah,
I
I've
do
done
it.
that. On my shoestrings, my ringmasters, my busters,
Yeah,
all those planes are done like that.
yeah. Well, I've got a way to install them and to finish them that you can hardly tell they're there. But every sewn hinge I've ever seen has not turned me on.
Yeah,
So
I learned how to do buried hinges that don't show after flying combat. Flying combat, nobody cares. The
right.
No.
threads are there. The threads are there. Nobody, yeah, whatever. It's just gonna fly fast. Who cares? And I thought, well, that's a hell of a way to make the flats nice and loose. They're gonna bend nice. It's gonna be flappy, so to speak.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, let me figure out how to do this where it doesn't look like hell. So I took some sandpaper and I horsed around, kind of like Sparky does, horsed around with a piece of scrap wood and another piece of scrap wood, rounded off one side, poked a couple of holes in it, and I figure eighted some thread through there. And my first shot at it, and man, it doesn't look very good. Maybe it's not such a great idea. And then I got back into it and I tried it again, and I sanded out a little bit less and a little bit wider, and I cut a slot instead of just drilled a hole. And I did my figure eights in sequence, so they're like side by side. And I had a 1/4 inch of hinge zapped in, a 1/4 inch of hinge zapped in, a 1/4 inch of hinge zapped in. And then when I put the silk span over the top of it, it all disappeared. And I thought, well, that's kind of neat. And now the hinge, there was no reason to tape it because the hinge line was tight. There was absolutely no gap between the rounded off and the square section. And it still moved as easy as you could imagine with sewn on hinges.
Well, I could see that. I find that with my over under hinges, I don't have to worry about sealing them either. One of the things when I use monocoat on a wing or a stab in an elevator, I'll use over under monocoat hinges, and I've learned how to do those so that you can hardly see them, if
You're
at all.
one up on me because I never learned to do monocoat over under.
Yeah, they're easy. They're very
Right.
easy, and the thing of it is, I can explain it real quickly if you want to hear.
Sure.
Okay, the areas you're going to hinge, you put monocoat on and you go about maybe 1/4 to a 1/2 inch onto the surface and the color that it's going to be. So you say here's your elevator and it's somewhat squared, so you got a U-shaped piece on there. It's all uptight, and you do the same thing on your elevator. Now you take I cut my monocoat about an inch, maybe an inch and a quarter wide. I cut a strip, and then I cut them like 3/4 to an inch wide, and then you turn them over. In fact, you can do this before you cut them. You turn them over, and you take your trim iron, and you put the glued edge to the. Let's see. You got the glued edge to the glued edge, and you only need like an 1/8 of an inch overlap, maybe a little 3/16 at the most, and you take your trim iron and you just over glass. I use a piece of glass. I run that trim iron down there and I glue those two together. So now I've got glue coming
So
down.
now you got them like this. You got one up
Yeah,
and one down.
I got them like this. Now I've got them cut to width, and then I start, and I'll start on one side, and I'll do it on the stab or the elevator first, whatever. And you just go down the whole thing, and then you put your piece in there. You pull it where it's snug, and then you use your monochrome iron and you stick it down, and then you.
I'm ready when you are.
Huh?
I'm ready when you are.
Oh, okay. Let me finish explaining how it's done.
Sure.
And then you do the other one. You do an over unders, and you do the whole length of it. Then now you take your monocoat and you finish off your stab and your elevator. So now you've buried that. You've gone right up to the edge with your monocoat, and so there's nothing showing there. You can just see a bare outline, just barely. And then and you're tight. It's nice and loose. It stays loose, and I've never had one fail on me. So that's how I do. Okay, let's see what you got, Trey.
Okay. This is the Kevlar cloth that I'm using for hinges.
Okay.
It's 1.6 ounces per square yard. You can get it from I think it's Solar Composites. I gave you the links on the previous GIFs, when we did it before, and it's like $28 a square yard, and you can make 1 million hinges out of it, basically.
Lifetime supply.
Lifetime supply, exactly. Get 1 square yard, you're done, right? So the grain on this goes like this and vertical. But when I cut my hinges, I cut them at 45 degrees, right?
All right.
Okay.
So you're
what I've
breaking
done
on, you're
here,
breaking on the angle.
yeah. So what I've done here, I'm not sure if you see it, it has some thin CA in it. It just makes it hard, right?
Uh-huh.
And you can work with it now. So then what I do, I just cut about a 3/8 piece of material, 1/2 an inch wide, with a pair of scissors, whatever width the hinge that you want to have. I like to round the corners a little bit, something like that.
Okay.
Okay.
And
like a jiffy hinge.
And what happens is the material is pretty stiff. It works. It's easy to handle and cut and whatever. The material goes in this direction and goes in that direction. So all the material participates into the hinge work, right? Then what I'm doing, let's say this is the leading edge of the flaps. This is the trailing edge of the wing.
Okay.
I make a tool.
Yeah.
Does it make sense?
Yeah,
Obviously,
exactly.
you want to be halfway through.
Half the thickness.
Yeah, exactly. And you just walk it through. Just make your cutout.
Now, if you got a carbon fiber,
sometimes it's hard because it's a hard material.
If you got a carbon fiber tube in there, how are you cutting?
Sometimes you build material in front of it so you can do this stuff, right?
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, or you break out the power tools.
Yeah, that also works. So I'm doing the trailing edge now. Say this is the trailing edge of the wing, right? And what you do, this is the thickness of the blade, by the way, right? I'm just taking this, smoosh it in there. I need to cut some more.
Damn it.
Give me a minute so I can just
Better
cut
get
it.
a better blade.
Yeah, that too.
I found an easier way to do it.
Yeah, I'm sure there are easier ways to do it, but it's just this kind of. I'm doing a quick and dirty, just a demonstration.
Yeah, I know, I get it. I like to see this though. This is really good.
And by the way,
I've never seen a Kevlar hinge before.
It's kind of the same principle as any other hinge.
It looks like those old RC hinges that you used to just zap glue in.
So this is, you see that?
Yeah.
Let me take over the screen.
Now you're gonna wick some zap in there.
Just in CA, it's working fine. Hang on, my CA is kind of stuck.
Yeah, mine does that too.
Yeah, I got it. So I did one side, and obviously, let me use my X-Acto knife so I can cut it a little bit. Or you might want to use the back side of the knife to make it just have a little bit of width, not a whole lot.
So the
And even
back
if
side
you
of
have
the
a whole
knife
lot,
is
it
like
doesn't matter.
the back side of the knife is like a very small router.
Yeah, he's spreading it.
If you know how to do it.
Yeah.
It just scrapes out a little extra wood, and sometimes that you don't need.
Yeah. So you just put it inside like this. Give it a
And
little
then
bit
what? You trickle zap in the middle.
Yep. You hit it again.
Yeah, Sig made easy hinges like that.
Yeah, but they break.
Yeah.
So yeah, they don't last as long as the Kevlar. Kevlar basically lasts forever. It's not gonna break.
Well, Kevlar was invented through spider webs somehow.
So there's your hinge.
That's
That
cool.
works. I like
That's
the
it.
fact that you can keep them really tight.
Yeah, absolutely.
Your hinge line has almost no gap.
So it's a little bit stiff now, but in time it's gonna get looser and looser.
Yeah, give it 17 or 18 flaps. It'll be loose.
It's already pretty loose right now.
Yeah, that'll work. That works pretty good. Where do you get the Kevlar?
Solar composites.
Solar composites.
No, I think it's solar composites. I think so.
It's not
Okay.
CSC.
Huh?
It's not CSC, carbon something specially incorporated with.
No, it's solar composite. SOELER.
Well,
Okay.
let me tell you something right now. I got a buddy of mine that works down here at SpaceX. If he can't get me a foot of Kevlar, I don't know who can. And he can get it for me for nothing.
Yeah. And if you are curious, the thickness of this is maybe 2 or 3 thousandths of an inch.
2 or 3 thousandths? Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll look into some of that. And if he'll give me enough of it, I'll cut pieces and I'll share it with the group.
Yeah, so I'm just working it out right now. The more you work it out, the more the looser it gets. And
I
you know
like the
what
way
else you
that
can
hinge
do?
works. It's simple.
Yeah.
It's
And
not
watch
like
what you can do. You can take the back side of a razor blade, right, and just run it over there. You can put some pressure on it, a little bit of pressure.
You remember
right?
the old Dubrow hinges?
Uh-huh.
With the pin, you'd stick them in and glue them. And you stick the flap on and glue it.
Uh-huh.
And then you'd hope to God no glue got in between it.
Oh, yeah.
Back when we were learning how to build.
Uh-huh. Yeah. With this, you don't care if you glue it. Put the glue in it. Actually, you want it. You don't give a rat's ass.
I like that.
The more you move it, the looser it gets. And the gap never increases.
I accidentally screen shared this. I'll show you anyway. This is before you started talking about the superior way of doing it, but that's my Dacron hinges on my Yak 9 right there. Can y'all see that?
No.
Hold on a minute.
Just turn my screen off.
I'm working on it. Gotta find you now. Oh, there you are. Okay, Rusty, do it again.
All right, let's see.
There you go.
There you go. That's what I'm talking about. Sewed on.
Y'all are seeing the Yak 9 tail? Okay, you are. Okay, good. Yeah. Yeah, and I just did it because it was an old plane and that was part of the era. But I think that looks pretty neat. The Dacron, and that's figure eight. It's 3 figure eight passes through each hole, and they cross over underneath, so you don't see any of the crossover part really.
That's
It looks pretty good.
That looks great, and I'd sure use it on a sport plane. I just wouldn't want to use it on a competition airplane.
Yeah,
John.
And there's not too much gap between the hinges. It's more than I wanted, but
it's more
that's
than an
the
air
thickness
molecule.
it's the thickness of the Dacron. And as you can see, I did an ugly job of putting pin hinges in the flap there, but that was my first try at pin hinges, so I'll forgive
What's wrong
myself
with
for
those?
that.
Those look great, Rusty.
That's my favorite.
We don't care for more than that.
That's my favorite control horn right there too. That's a Dubro 1 1/8 or 1 3/8. I wish they made one size larger than that.
Wow.
But anyway.
So another thing I want to say is the advantage of using this kind of Kevlar hinges is that you can finish everything and you make your cutouts for the hinges are the very last thing that you do. You can even cover it with anything you want to. You don't have to put them before you cover things or before you paint.
Okay, Tran, here's my deal. When my dad taught me how to build, my dad learned from reading the Carl Goldberg instructions, and everything was pre-built before you covered and painted. So we covered and painted everything with the hinges, flaps, everything except the engine and the tank on it. I mean, that's how I build now. I glue my flaps in before I cover the airplane.
Yeah.
Can I
I
do
think
it
that
with
makes
that?
it a lot easier. I mean, you can cover it a lot easier on the leading edge of the flaps, trailing edge of the wing. It's super easy to cover like this. And to make a cutout with an X-Acto knife right in the center, once you're done with that, it's not complicated stuff.
No, I see. That's pretty simple. It's pretty easy to do, and it looks good, and it's nice and tight. I like that.
Yeah.
I like the fact that it moves really easy.
It does.
I remember back in the day we'd set an airplane down and the controls would droop down just by their own weight.
Yep.
You know?
There you go, right there.
Yeah. And those I loved it when they were that nice and smooth and loose. They do that because they flew better.
Yeah. Do you know that on my on the Revolutions I have a full wing hinge made out of Kevlar?
That must have been fun to get in.
No, that was actually easy because I do it in a mold. When I join the two halves, I put a strip of Kevlar in there, close the mold, call it a day.
They still
when
say
I pull
you're
the
cheating,
wing out,
Fred.
yeah, when I'm pulling the wing out, it looks like this. See this? This is the wing. The flaps is still very stiff on it because it's not broken out yet. Okay. But what I do, I take a saw blade. I don't know. What do you call this guy? What do you call these guys?
Hacksaw blade.
Hacksaw blades.
Hacksaw, exactly. So I
That's
go
how
like
you
this
get
with
the slots.
I go like this with the hacksaw right in a slot. And I go back and forth until I touch the Kevlar. And you can feel it. I mean, you can even feel it, and you can see it. It's a little yellowish, right? And I do this on one side, I do it on the other side, and I start gently breaking loose. And the more I move it after that, the looser it gets. And right now, if you look at my revolution on a wall, you see that the flaps drooping in one direction, the elevator in the other direction, through their own weight. I mean, it's
gravity.
very, very
Yeah,
loose
that's it.
system. And it's like you're tapping your hinge light because the hinge is closed.
Hey, I'm gonna go ahead and close up the YouTube feed because we only got 3 guys out there watching us, and it's almost 2 o'clock. So let's see, all you tubers out there, thanks for coming in, and some of you sat through and watched the text box while we were out of video for about a half hour. I appreciate y'all hanging in there with us, but y'all all have fair winds, tight lines, and we'll see you back here on Monday.
Yeah,
And
YouTube.
have a great weekend. Good night. And